Good morning, my Teaserking family. Nice early start, 10:30. What a day I had yesterday. Holy Christ, I go 8-1. Yesterday, the only loser was Cincinnati on what was the strangest game I've ever watched. I didn't watch it. I just box scored it. So let me see. Cleveland, Prime Jr. gets 100 yards. Joe Burrow gets 300. Those are 3 touchdowns, which they don't kick an extra point or they win the game. And then Cleveland scores on a pick six from 97 yards and a fumble return and 2 field goals. That's how we lose this game. I've never seen it before. So I get 3 touchdowns with 0 extra points, which would have been 21 points. They lose 20-18, of which their offense scored 6. I've never seen a game like that, but that's what it takes to beat me is that. I thought Cincy -1. I mean, I had the game played well. I don't really get this Myles Garrett sack record is a big deal. First of all, now you're playing 17 games. How do you compare a record that somebody did in 14 games or 16 games to 17 games, right? So it's all bullshit. I don't get the carry them off the field. I mean, yeah, guys, you've won 4 games all year. Don't get all excited. Anyway, so let's go through not only the games, but how did I do it? First, we'll go through silver, 76.75, having a nice day. Gold, 44.43. And we are at the 10 o'clock drop, which we are kind of processing in gold. Let's see how long it goes. And then silver, it just keeps rolling. So we'll just quickly review this, then we get to football and come back to this. So we are in really good shape, 76.83. We realize it's paper, we realize it's options and derivatives. I did find out that AI, Mr. Fuji, is really a Keynesian because he talks about macroeconomics, and the professor and us Austrians never talk macroeconomics. We talk microeconomics. We talk you owning a store and we want people in. We talk about inflation. We talk about gold and silver. We don't talk macroeconomics because it's bullshit. It's Keynesian. We don't have graphs here because it's not about graphs in Austrian economics. We're not trying to prove anything. We're trying to teach you exactly you print money, it's inflation. You buy gold because you can't print money, because you can't inflate it. There's no graph needed to do that. Only the Keynesians do. John Z, hi. Well, good morning to you. We all won on the Bears. It took a while. But I'm glad that, I'm glad when the free pick wins because I got it out there so you win. And I'm glad about that, but we'll get to that in a minute. So we see everybody, Brics has announced the gold-backed currency, which it's coming in January. I don't know if it's here now or here next week, but it'll be here very shortly, the gold-backed currency. Means they need not only higher demand for gold, but they need a higher gold price because you can only print as much gold-backed dollars as you have gold. So if I have, if I have $1 trillion worth of gold, I can print $1 trillion worth of dollars. But I need a higher gold price to get to the 1 trillion. So I can print $1 trillion because I need $1 trillion. I don't understand this digital thinking it's a digital dollar. That must be something else because you can't have digital dollars in a gold-backed currency. Because how am I going to take the digital dollar to the bank to get the gold? Again, it's the money is backed by gold, which means if I take this, I'm in Germany with a $5 gold back euro, I can go to the bank and say, give me $5 worth of gold. But I have to have this. I can't. How can I walk in with digital? Well, it's backed by gold. Well, then I want it. I want to see it. I want to hold it. I want to have it. So I don't think it's digital. There may be 2 or 3 steps to this. There might be like if they want to buy oil for if I want to buy oil for from China to I want to buy oil from Saudi Arabia, then I might be able to pay it with this gold back unit. And then China gets the gold. I can understand that, but it's just regular payments. You're buying certain things. No, you need physical, like we're saying now. Raiders won, TK. Yeah, they fucked that up, didn't they? Only the Raiders. Well, what did the Giants do? The Giants won also. So they both fucked up the number 1 seed. For what reason? A lot of teams don't start these players in the final weeks. Well, Joe Burrow started. Prime Jr. started. Profess, hey, Professor. So the Raiders secured the first draft pick thanks to Jackson Dart upping his game in the last couple of weeks. Once he found out they might draft Mendoza if the Giants had gotten the first pick. I don't know about that. He probably just played to play because he's a pro, but he's not the answer. And, they can still draft Agio Pavia. That's not a problem with the second pick. Ryan, how are you today? Please ask. Isn't a debit credit card a digital transaction? No, it's an electric transaction because they're pulling the money from if it's a debit card, they're pulling the money from your account. So if you don't have money in your a credit account, your checking account, it says, nope, there's nothing there. And a credit card is a loan. So if you spend $100 at the grocery store and you use your credit card, you got to pay that back with cash. No, digital is fake money. It's not real, and it's like Bitcoin is digital, or the stable coin will be digital, meaning it's just fake. The debit and credit card are actually loans, and they're actually real. They're using real money, and it is an electronic transaction versus a digital one. So that's the difference with it. Good question, Ryan. Appreciate that. Well, a lot of teams, I think the teams that don't start their players are teams like where Philadelphia rested and Green Bay rested. I bet you Philadelphia's kind of pissed off they didn't rest their players because instead of playing Tampa, Carolina, they're going to have to play the Rams or the 49ers or something. I think the 49ers get the Eagles and the Rams get Carolina. So, yeah, I bet they're kind of pissed off. The Eagles could have got the 2 shot and played Green Bay, which is much easier than playing, I guess, the 49ers. Ryan, but you have to use real currency to buy Bitcoin. Sorry, I know you guys want to talk football. No, it's both. It's an open class, Ryan. It's gold and silver and football. We'll get to both subjects. Yeah, you have to use real currency to buy a Rolex or to buy a Mantle card, right? But the difference is those are real. The Mantle card and the Rolex are real. The Bitcoin isn't. As much as the Bitcoiners want it to be real, it's not backed by gold. It's not that gold thing with the B on it. That's not what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin is digital. It's not real. It doesn't. It's not money. It's just like a stock. Is a stock real? I own 100 shares of Microsoft. Is it real? Well, my accountant says I own 100 shares of Microsoft. So I guess it is, but you can't, it's not money. I can't go to Kroger's with my 100 shares of Microsoft and buy milk and cheese and everything. So, on that standpoint, money versus an asset. Bitcoin's an asset. It has a value, but it's not tradable. Money must be exchanged, right? Medium of exchange. So you must be able to get paid at work, and then you must be able to use it to buy things, buy your golf and your travel and your food and your electric bills and everything else. So the debit card, credit card are electric forms of using your money. So instead of carrying what did you do before? All right, so let's go back 30 years. Let's go back to 1970. You had an electric bill, probably $2. How'd you pay it? Well, you paid with a check. You mailed your check into the electric company. That was a manual form of payment. And all we've done was we've then went to a more, what's the word I'm thinking? A more processed payment, where we can, instead of writing a check, we can use the credit card to pay the utilities or to pay the groceries. So I mean, not everybody walked around with $1,000 to go to the grocery store, although back then you needed 20 to fill your cart. So money is a value. It's a medium of exchange. Okay, so electrically, I can't think of the word. It's a process improvement thing. So we went from writing checks to using debit credit cards. But it's the same source. The check would go and they'd ask the bank, does Professor have $30 to pay for the groceries you just bought? And if I had $30 in my account, they say, yeah. And if I didn't, it would bounce. Remember that? Bounce checks cost you $30, $40 and and you're on the bad list. So that's what originally it was. Now, back in the 1800s, 1900s, you probably just you use gold-backed currency. So you'd use gold or silver, like Romans. You just paid with gold or silver, but it was simple. So when we get into the early 1900s, I don't know when they initially developed checks, because if you watch the Westerns, it's cash. And banks would compete for your business. So that's why you never had inflation back then, because the bank A would compete with Bank B, compete with Bank C. So if they inflated their money, people wouldn't bank there. So it was really the best system for banks. And then when JP Morgan went broke, he devised the central bank, which is horrific. It's the worst idea in the world. They probably then came up with the check, so you could go to as we evolve, then let's go to the grocery store, because back in the old time, you'd go to the grocery store and just give them cash, right? So then it went to a check, which is manual, then to I'll think of the word, it's coming. I don't know. I got to look at my resume. That's what I do. Anyway, so then it went to electric as we got more into the internet. I can just go on, DTE Energy and pay my bill. And that's what I do now. I go in and I pay it. I'm going to use my credit card, or I can use my checking account. Really no difference. I pay my rent with my checking account. I could use a credit card. They want to charge me 3%. I hate when these people want to charge you 2 or 3% to use the credit card. I hate that. Anyway, but that's all it is. Very rarely are you actually carrying cash and handing cash to somebody, right? 99% of your transactions, you go to the grocery store, you go to the golf course, you're using your credit or debit card. And those are electric forms of payment. Notice how they run it through the machine. And if it gets approved, then you're fine. That means you have the money to pay for it. And then they go in and then you get a credit card, right? What do? You pay it. Well, in a digital world, you're not going to do that, right? it'll be like Back to the Future Biff, where he goes on the taxi and he uses his thumbprint to pay for it. You'll need the credits in your account to pay for it. It's no more like a credit card's actually a loan. I want to use $1,000 to go to Amsterdam. Okay, well, do I have room on the credit card? Yes. And then I pay it over time back. So it's basically a loan. So that's why they're electric, because you still got to use the cash. The digital is like credits, where you're actually just, if you have the credit, you can use the card, sort of like a debit card. But it's not real because the money isn't real. You can't have digital money. So I guess what China and Saudi Arabia are going to do with the gold back digital currency to pay for the oil, I think there's already gold there. And then Saudi Arabia just takes the gold, takes a little chunk out of their gold reserve and moves it into their safe. But it theoretically should be an electric payment, not a digital payment. Again, digital, there's nothing there. There's nothing real. It's just, well, I got $1 million. I want to buy $1 million worth of oil, so I'm going to send this to you. And my $1 million is backed by gold. I don't know how you can do it. It doesn't make any sense. You actually have to have real money, but then use a debit card or a credit card to buy the gas, and that is, the money's backed by gold. That's the only way you can do it. But anyway, that's supposedly coming out this month. And then Russia, I think, is coming out in February, and that they'll need the gold price much higher. Now, we've seen pictures of Putin holding up money. He was holding up gold-backed currencies, so there will be gold back. I think these guys get confused where they'll pay for oil. They'll just, transfer the money over. But I think for everyday use, their money's worthless. The Chinese, the Russian money, most of the Indians, they're all bankrupt. So they'll have to go to gold-backed currency to survive, and they're going to need real currency. So that's coming. But that's kind of what it is, Ryan. It's, but Visa is an electric payment. I mean, you notice you scan it through the card electronically, right? But keep in mind, Bitcoin and stablecoin are not real money. And they're not even money, because if people money has to be what's accepted. So I can go to Kroger's and use cash or debit or credit card to buy the groceries, but I electronically slide it through, right? And they're approving you, right? Where digitally, they have to take the Bitcoin, which they don't do. Nobody takes Bitcoin. Oh yeah, there's a pizza place down the road because they're trying to scam and they're trying to, get Bitcoin cheap, let's say. But generally, nobody's accepting Bitcoin. It's not money. People are buying it because they think it's going to be $1 million. So they're just buying to make money, because these are a bunch of idiots who don't really know what they're doing. And to me, it's an investment. It's just like holding Microsoft stock. That's what Bitcoin is. It's just an investment. And you really don't see your stock certificate, but in your account, it says 100 shares of Microsoft. And that's it. So electronically, you have 100 shares. Bitcoin, what good is it? I mean, okay, maybe as an investment, but wouldn't you rather have a Mantle card? If you had 100 grand, wouldn't you want 100 grand worth of gold? That would be my first choice. Anyway, let's see. Ryan, you have to use real currency to buy a Bitcoin. Sorry. Okay. John C. TK Ravens choked again. I don't know about they choked. It was a strange kick, just like the Pittsburgh kick. It went, and then it went sideways, almost like in Giant Stadium when they open the door and then the wind blows the kickoff. But I can't imagine they opened the door and maybe they did, because it was kind of windy there. And it certainly looked like the ball going straight goes straight right. I mean, that seemed like a door open right in the stadium. Profit. When you get a loan from the bank, does it actually cost the bank any real currency to secure it, or is it simply a marker on their books? It's just a marker on their books. They create the money. So when you get a loan for a car or a house, you the money gets printed out of nothing. Mr. Robbins, you want a loan for a $25,000 Camry? Okay, here you okay. We'll buy the car for you and you owe us 25 grand and you can pay us monthly for 6 years. They never had the money to give me. They created the money, which is the problem, right? So I'm able to buy the car. The problem is the car is over market. Nobody has 25 grand to buy the car. So the car actually, if you just left it at normal market, like ice cream or candy, the car they couldn't sell the car for maybe over $1,000, $2,000. I mean, who has 25,000 around to buy it? So we get loans. But the loan is just bullshit. The bank made it up and the bank earns. Why are they charging you interest on money that they don't have? It's not like they lent you the money. It's not like I gave you $100 and now I want 110 back. The loan's nothing. They're just doing it. Okay, Toyota, here's Howard's 25 grand. Give him the car because you got good credit. We'll give you the loan and then that. But that's what didn't happen in the housing crisis, 2008. You were giving money to people that couldn't afford it, that had no credit and no job, and they couldn't pay it back when the interest rates started to go up. These people couldn't pay it back. And plus, they bought houses as an investment. Houses aren't investments. You're not making money. Is there a market for them? Maybe, maybe not. Hard to say, but I don't think so. So the banks just create the money. That's why the banks are collapsing. When the commercial real estate market is going out because people aren't working in the office anymore, or people can't pay their mortgages because they're losing their job, that's the problem, right? So once that happens, the banks are relying on that money to pay you your deposit money back, right? So the bank, you put in 20 grand in the bank and you're looking for interest. That comes from these loans being paid back. But when everybody defaults on their loans, the bank doesn't give you your interest because they're relying on that. They don't have any money. Banks don't have money. They get money from the Federal Reserve. So when you go in there and you got 20 grand in the bank and you say, I want 10 grand, and they go into the vault to get you the 10 grand, that's not your money. But you have the credit for it, right? Okay, yeah, professor has 10 grand and he wants 5 of it. Yeah, we'll go in. It looks like he has it. We'll give it to him. So as long as I have the credit in there, they'll give it to me until they won't, which is coming very soon as the banks will survive before you do, as an Attack on Wall Street when he says, we must survive, fuck all the customers. And it's the same thing with, real estate trusts or whatever. At the end of the day, they cut it off because they have to survive. So if you got 50 grand in the bank, this is what I'm warning you about. They start losing money because people can't pay the interest payments on their house and their mortgage and everything. Guess what? You're the one who gets fucked, not the bank. The bank never gets fucked, right? The bank will say, yeah, geez, but we don't have the money. We can't pay you. And what are you going to do? Sue the bank? The bank's the mafia. You're going to sue the mafia? Good luck on that. So you're basically fucked. You're not going to get your money out, which is why I warn you to take it out, put it in a safe place, buy gold and silver with it, which is the safest place you can put it. And then off you go. And then we're waiting for the new money to come out, hopefully gold back. Otherwise it'll be worthless. So I hope that answered your question, Prophet. Yeah, it's just a marker on the books. Most banking is markers on the books. They don't have the money. The money they have is if you come and get it, like Madoff, right? So Madoff's Ponzi scheme, he had so much money, and as people asked for it, he would pay them with the money he had. And that's why it ended. He ran out of money. he had $1 billion of people wanting money, and he only had 400 million in actual money to pay them, so he couldn't pay everybody off. Well, that's what a bank's going to do. They're going to say, I don't have the money to pay you, and they'll just go out of business. They'll come back as the ABC bank, and you won't know the difference. Ryan, I was able to hit 2 teasers this weekend thanks to your teachings. Thank you, Ryan. Houston -4.5, Buffalo -5.5, and Carolina plus the 9, and Denver minus the 1.5. $5 each play. Hopefully, can pick. Well, I went 9-1, which I'll get to in a minute. My locks this weekend was Texas Tech under with Miami of Florida under. And then I played a lock, Miami of Florida under with the Bears getting 3.5, which won. And then I played a lock, New England with the Rams, and won that one. So I had 3 locks in the NFL, New England, LA, and Chicago. I did have Houston in a few teasers. How they won, I don't. I got a friend who emails me. He says, "Well, you got a gift in the Houston game," and I didn't know what happened. I was at pool. I see the final. They win by 8 or 9. And I'm like, great. They covered the 4, and basically, they must have been resting their defense because Riley Leonard torched them for 2 touchdowns. But we won it on one of those stupid Stanford fumble plays where they fumbled the ball. They did all the laterals. Now, the one thing I have to say is it's never worked in the NFL. The only time it worked for Stanford because it was a kickoff return, and they had 8 option quarterbacks in on it. So they kept doing the option, and they kept – it had never been seen before, so Cal wasn't or Stanford wasn't expecting it, and Cal kept optioning it, but there were 8 option quarterbacks on the field. What do you see in the NFL? A, everybody's expecting it. B, you got linemen involved. You have maybe 3 or 4 guys who probably never ran an option in their lives. So you can maybe hook and lateral it, but you might as well just throw the ball into the end zone or as far as you can. You're not scoring on that play. And this is the 3rd or 4th time I've seen where the defense has scored a touchdown. And this one helped us a lot as I had Houston in 2 teasers. But, Houston, it's surprising. They needed the game in case Jacksonville lost. I think what happened is they got up, and then Jacksonville was up like 34-7, and then Houston rested their players. And then Indy, Riley Leonard, they made look like a superstar. He's not. And so the last play, they're fumbling it around, and it comes back, and there's a missed fumble. And the Houston defensive tackle has the ball, and he runs it in. And why does he run it in? He just had to just get the ball and go down, and the game's over. But he runs it in. Maybe he had something in his contract if he scores a touchdown, or maybe he needed to score a touchdown. Maybe he bet a teaser and he needed to cover the 4. Wait, the professor's laying 4. I got to score a touchdown to cover for him. I don't know, but that's how we won that game. Was never should have won it. Right? They're up 1 or 2, and they're just throwing the lateral play, and we happen to get the touchdown. It was a miracle. It was a Christmas miracle. But yeah, well, I'm glad you won, Ryan. Well, thank you. Yeah, like I said, everything. The only loser I had was Cincinnati, which was a pick 6 and a fumble recovery by Cleveland for them to score at all. And everything else just went according to Hoyle. New England for the 1 seed, Jacksonville, Denver, Houston needed it. Well, the Bears and Philly really didn't need it. I didn't bet Philly. Had the Bears big, as you know, as my free play. And then the 1 seed, wow, that was Seattle the night before, so there wasn't the drama in the NFC. Buffalo, I had. The Rams needed it to get the 5 seed, so they play Carolina. That was smart of them. I didn't see Chicago. You didn't play my free play, Ryan. Houston, Buffalo, and Carolina and Denver, but I would have thought you'd have played the Bears as the free play. John C. TK playoffs look interesting. We'll take a look at that when we're done with this. Do teasers work for the NBA or college hoops? I don't really know. They're different type of teasers. They're 4-point teasers, and I don't think they work as well. But we'd have to do a study on it. These spam calls, Jesus. We have to do a study on it because in football you score by sixes and sevens, right? And in basketball, there's a lot of it's a 4-point teaser and you score by threes. So I don't know how helpful it is. In my mind, I don't really follow basketball. Oh, we're getting 76.91 in silver. So you really don't. I don't know if you need. There's too much scoring, I think. But I've never really because I'm into football now, right? So I never watch basketball until football is over. But I have no interest in basketball anymore. They've killed the interest. It's such a stupid game now with everybody shooting 3-point shots and no defense and oh he touched them and LeBron. I can't stand it. So in effect, I really don't know. Maybe there's 10-point teasers in basketball. You have to figure out the teams, and you'd have to play the best defenses and the offensive teams you got to worry about. But, I don't know. I think you have to look at everything and see, but it was, when I was younger, football's once a week, right? I can study it on Tuesday night and then I can, do my little trend analysis and then kind of, okay, these teams are good in teasers, these are bad, and go from there. But basketball is every day, and I'm going to focus on football. So when we get with it, so I suppose you could. You just have to realize the first critical thing is you have to know the team. What type of team are they? Over, under, the good team, A team, or a Z team? Just like we do in the pros, right? We bet all the A teams yesterday. Jesus Christ. Stop calling me. So we bet all the A teams, but in basketball, who's good and who's bad, I don't know. I don't even know half the players. They're all foreigners. It's crazy. DMarque, hello, good morning. Ryan, haven't seen the option to tease college basketball. I don't know. I mean, there used to be options. I know there used to be teasers in pro basketball. There used to be 4-point teasers, so I don't know. It's not something I pay attention to. I bet to win, and I'm not into basketball, so I really don't bet it. Baseball, we look at the pitchers generally. That's our key. But basketball, as soon as it became a 3-point shooting contest, I have no interest in it. Behold, how are you? Good morning. Ryan, alternative lines available. Well, is that a teaser line then, I assume? Alternative lines. But generally, football is the best because 6 points, moving a line from 2 to 8 or 8 to 2 is huge. In basketball, I don't know where it really helps you because you score so much 3-point, 4-point, 3-point plays and fast breaks and they can't play defense. It's not, the Pistons when they were good with Isaiah in the late 80s and Magic and Bird, you could win a ton on those guys. The Pistons, what, you bet them under every game. The over under is 100. You bet them under, and they 40 to 35. Isaiah was probably the best defensive guard ever to play. I heard his hands were just so fast, and one guy I know like tried out for the Pistons when I was going to college at Oakland University, and he said Isaiah just stole the ball every time from it. He's just so quick. He never got the credit he deserved. He won with Bill Lambert. I mean, Jesus Christ. He won 2 titles with Bill Lambert. Should have been 3. That Kareem fall was a joke, but they wanted the Lakers to win, so that's what happens. Cost a lot of juice to play the alternative lines for college. Well, it depends what site you're on. I mean, I know when I started Teasers, it was even money. And as I discussed with a gentleman on the email, you could open one up. So I could open up a teaser. Yesterday, I could open up, let's say, Jacksonville, and then play it with the Baltimore Pit over at night. So you could open up a teaser and not close. You can play one teaser, open it up, and go from there, because the books all thought the teasers were a joke. And I figured out how to beat them. That's what I do very well, better than anybody, is look at a situation and figure it out. That's how I pick so well in football, figuring out what's going to happen in the game, and then it comes true 75% of the time. Like yesterday, I actually figured out the Baltimore-Pittsburgh game to go. I like the Pitt as the dog, but I like the over because the total was 41. And I says, I only need 35, and Lamar's playing. He'll give me 35 either on turnovers or the touchdowns. But I wasn't worried about the cold weather, and it's a playoff game. You're going to score more in a playoff game. So that was easy, but I figured it out because I didn't know how to play it. I didn't want to take Baltimore. I didn't want to trust Lamar. And without DK Metcalf, you were a little bit concerned for Pittsburgh. But I did like Pitt as the dog, a home dog. And then I just liked the over because the total was so low at 41, 35. I'm looking at the game, it's 10-3, and I go, well, if I get 10-10, if I get 17-17, I won. Because then it's got to go, there's got to be a winner, and it's at 34, it gives me 37, it's a winner. But I figured the games out. I figure all the games out. That's the uniqueness of me. I don't use formulas. That's why when people ask me about formulas, I go, formulas are stupid. Just like going forward on 4th down. It's a formula. It's an algorithm. Oh, yeah, 80% of, 51% of the time, it's good. But when you miss it, you lose the game. But that's not incorporated in the stat. And that certain teams do better than others, and against certain defenses, you're not going to get any. The Lions played Philly. They went for it 5 times on 4th down. You're not getting a first down on Philadelphia. Why are you even trying? Well, it's 51%. Yeah, but that's not against Philadelphia. And again, that's the macro approach. We dump it all in and we get, look, it's 51%. And they're just trying to prove that it's something. And I don't know why these coaches are so stupid that just go, oh, yeah, let's go for it on 4th down. And we'll miss it. And the worst is the Oregon coach. He goes for it and he never gets it. And, you got to hope Oakland doesn't draft Dante Moore. That's all I can say. So let's say Mendoza goes to, who has the first pick? The Giants? No, Oakland has the first pick. So, okay, let's say they get Mendoza. You better hope that the Giants do not get Dante Moore, because he's not anything. He's a bad quarterback. He's weak against good teams. See, the biggest problem is you have to look at these guys against good teams. Beating Arkansas State does not make you a good quarterback. But beating Alabama makes you a good quarterback, right? So we'll see Oregon here against Indiana. Okay, you didn't really beat Texas Tech. Texas Tech turned the ball over. Okay, so now let's see what you do against Indiana. You already lost to him once. You lose to him again. I wouldn't draft him. I wouldn't draft him at all. I don't think he's a good quarterback. I think it's a system. And if you're not going to run the Oregon system, you're wasting your time drafting this guy. Like Hendon Hooker, Detroit screwed him up because he was great at Tennessee, but they didn't run that Tennessee offense. They ran this motion offense and play action pass offense. And Hooker was confused in it. But Hooker's a very good quarterback. Just put him in the right system. Anyway. Profit, my sports book has 5-point teasers for college hoops and 6-point for NBA. Well, if you're interested in doing teasers, then you have to do the homework. You have to first figure out the team. So I rank Seattle as an A team, and I rank the Rams as an over team, and I rank Oakland as a Z team. So you got to understand that first. Before you play, you got to understand the teams. Who's good and who's bad. And you normally want to bet against the bad teams, and normally you want to bet against the good teams, preferably after they lose, when they're focused. The problem with basketball is this load management crap where people see they're not serious about it. Who would want to sit out a game? I don't know anybody who's passionate about football or basketball or baseball would want to sit out. I was a very good baseball player, and then I started playing softball. And if I went and I didn't play, I would just leave. Well, if you don't want to play me, see you later. I got better things to do. Now, I wasn't getting paid millions of dollars. But unless I went to watch a friend and I'm playing and you're not playing me, I'm not sitting around. Bye. I mean, I was an all-star talent. So if you're not playing me, I don't need to waste my time. I'll go golfing. Profit, I don't think the Giants will take another quarterback with their first pick. Too much money invested in Dart. How much money do they have? It's just a rookie contract. I think, the problem is, don't they have a new GM and coach? The problem is, do you think Diego Pavia is better than Dart? You think Dart's your guy? I don't know. He's had 3 or 4 concussions. He really doesn't do much. He just scrambles a lot, and he likes to run, as we know from Ole Miss. Is he really your player? Now, he was at USC, and he got beaten out. He's not that good. So he's more of a scrambler. Depends on the new coach and the new offense that they use. Or he's not it. Can you win with them? Well, they won with Phil Simms, but you need Lawrence Taylor. So if I'm the Giants, if I'm Oakland, I'm drafting these defensive tackles from Texas Tech and Miami and Ohio State. Those are my first 2 or 3 picks. I'm trying to get 2 or 3 of those guys. Now I got my defense set. Because I don't need, Joe Namath won. Montana won 4, but it was different. He won it because he had Ronnie Lott and he had great defenses. And then he gets Jerry Rice. So that's one way to do it. But Tom Brady didn't win every year because when years he didn't have a good defense, he lost. But look at Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, won for Baltimore with Trent Dilfer as the quarterback. So you need the superstar somewhere on the team, preferably on the defense. Look at Lamar. He doesn't win because their defense is not very good. So what you're looking at is getting a very strong defensive player. That's what the Giants, the Raiders need, not these quarterbacks that are worthless. So anyway, if I'm the GM, I'm 76.96 silver, 44.46 gold. If I'm the GM, I'm getting more. I'd rather have 3 Lawrence Taylors on my team unless I get Joe Montana, and I don't see any Joe Montanas out there. And that's the problem. Okay, Tennessee drafted Cam Ward. Cam Ward's nothing. You don't win with Cam Ward. You'd have done better with the good defensive players. You're better off getting 3, 4 good, real strong defensive players. A, they're cheaper, and B, you win with defense anyway. And the quarterback, they're making too much of a deal to keep drafting these guys first round. I mean, look at the backups that played. I mean, you got Brock Purdy, who wasn't really even drafted. Riley Leonard, C.J. Stroud stinks. Look how bad it's. Look at Houston. Houston's the good example. They got this great defense with no quarterback, and they're okay. They need an offensive coordinator. They need a running attack. It's sort of like the Steelers in the 70s. Mean Joe Green and Mel Blount and Mike Wagner and then Lambert and Ham. Bradshaw sucked, but when they got Franco Harris and then they got Swan and Stallworth, then they were good. But before that, they weren't any good. They didn't win in 72 or 73 because Bradshaw sucked, but they had a great defense. So as soon as they got Franco Harris, when they started winning, and that's kind of how you got to build your team. You got to get the Joe Greens and the Jack Hams and the Jack Lamberts, the Mel Blunts. That's how you get a team. So your first pick got to be Joe Green here, not Daggio. I mean, Daggio's good, but not, the kid from Oregon, Dante Moore. I mean, he's average at best. He's not going to do anything for you. So keep in mind, you want the defense. You can't beat a good defense. You can pressure a quarterback, as we've seen, but you can't. There's nothing you can do against a good defense. It just doesn't happen. All right, where are we at? They're not paying him $100 million. Are you kidding me? He's on the rookie contract. That's not real. What about trading Max Crosby for draft picks? Well, Max Crosby doesn't want to be there. Can you get 2 or 3? Can you get 2 first rounds and a second round? Then maybe. Problem is, they'd be over 2 years to get the player you already have. The problem is, will he play? And where are you going? Now, you've got Brock Bowers and you got Gentry, so you don't need, you need a decent quarterback. Mendoza, I don't know how good he is. He's not the answer, really. I would get defense for him. You got elite guys at Texas Tech, Miami, and Ohio State. I'd be grabbing those. Those are not it's like the Georgia guys. They're not available every draft. And when they are available, you draft. And look what the Philadelphia Eagles did. They got 6 or 7 of them, and they go win a Super Bowl. That's the point. John C. Bradshaw won because of the defense. Bradshaw was terrible. There's games he throws all these interceptions, and he wanted to run. If you watch the early games, he's just running around. Now they didn't really have good receivers. I don't know how good their line was. This is like 71, 72. 72, they got Franco, so Franco could run. But in 71, he just ran around. That's why they benched him, because he wouldn't throw the ball. He wasn't very good of a quarterback. The only reason they won the Super Bowl is they had Swan, Stallworth, and Franco, where you could take an average quarterback and win. But I didn't find him to be that good. If you put Stabler on the Steelers and Bradshaw on the Raiders, the Steelers with Stabler win 5 or 6 Super Bowls because he was a winner. Anyway, so we'll keep on mind with Brics going on the gold-back currency for trading. I assume it'll trickle into the populations because their money's not worth anything. That's going to spike the price of gold because you need it at a much higher price. So we'll see that. We'll see COMEX collapsing because it's a Ponzi scheme and they've been caught. It's never about physical. It was always about price fixing and then making money on the options and the derivatives of the options. And that's all gone because everybody needs physical and COMEX doesn't have it. So if people want to buy silver, and they buy the contract, say, I want delivery of the silver. They don't have silver to give them. All right, I won't shop there anymore. It's like the ice cream store example. Well, I have sundaes, chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry for $1. So you get people to come in the store, and then you go, well, yeah, but I'm out of chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry. Who's going to shop at your store? They might come the first time to get it, but then when you don't have it, well, we don't have that. We're sold out. We don't have any. I'm not coming back to that store to eat or a restaurant to eat if they don't have the food. If it's not there, I'm not going there. So that's what Comex is. Well, we don't have the gold or silver to give to you when you ask for delivery. You want money? No, we don't want money. We want the gold and silver. So they'll just go to China and get it, or Russia or the BRICS, and they'll buy it from them at a higher price, but at least they're getting physical. All the companies that need silver to produce their products, like let's say you're making an airplane, you need silver. Well, you can't sell the airplane if you don't have the silver. So you're going to get a lot of silver to make sure you can sell the airplane because it's expensive, right? Or cars or whatever, computers, phones. Apple can't sell their $1,600 iPhones, which is the biggest ripoff in the world, if they don't have the silver to make it. So they're going to buy the silver. So they're all scared and they're frenzying and they're buying tons of silver now, but you can't go to Comex for it. So they're going to the mines or they're going to China and they're paying $150, $200 an ounce for it. I did find that the AI guy, I think I mentioned this, is a Keynesian because he's looking at macroeconomics. It doesn't really say. One guy is from Iraq, and then one guy says U.S., and they use him. I don't know why he's on all these channels, but you can't listen to him. He doesn't. We don't listen to Keynesians, so that's who he is. But I've stopped. If I see him, I just say negative and get the hell out. Because he doesn't give you the whole story and he can't give a reasons. And, that's why I show you videos. I'm saying, well, this is what I'm saying. Look at the video, like the good doctor, right? I show you, put cayenne pepper or put Celtic salt or put an onion on your foot. That's where I'm getting. I'm showing you that, right? He can't show you anything because he's not real. He's like a digital dollar. So keep in mind that's coming. So the gold and silver price are just going to go because everybody needs physical. So the game of the option is over. The time for the orc is now, but the time for man is over. It's just not. It's not. It was a game to price fix, but that's over. And this is why most things end is the market changes, the variables change. The Roman Empire, they got, new people. They started handing out bread, and then it was a welfare state. And then they kept giving away money, and then it ended up where they took the gold and silver out of their coins, and that was the end of Rome. They changed. They weren't phase one, they were capturing and growing and very wealthy. And then stage two, they got complacent. They started giving out the emperor started giving out free bread and free this and free that. Where are you getting it from? You got to get it. So that ended them. And it's just the same thing with every country. Like here, we've gotten complacent. We were rich. Now we've got this big handout, healthcare and Social Security, and which we paid in, which they didn't keep our money. And then all the handouts. And then where do you get the money from? You don't have it. Hence why socialism never works. They want free education and free this and free that, but you got to pay for it. There's no such thing as free. So that's where we're at. So with the gold back currency definitely coming out in January, definitely for China. Jesus fucking Christ. Coming out for China, they need a higher price because they need too much of it. So look for these prices of gold and then silver for the people. And then there's people like us who are buying silver for protection and to make money. So I paid $30 an ounce for this. I paid $60. You see, it's a 2 ouncer and the queen. And so I paid that. Now, I was getting out of dollars, so I really bought it as safe haven to get out of $60 of crap. But now I'm getting the second value where now it's worth $76. So now it's worth 154. So it went from 60 to 154. That's the sidekick, but I really bought it to get out of dollars as they're worthless. And that's the key concept. You got to understand the dollar has no value. John C. Grant's out going, right? TK, you like natural health better? That's a beauty. Thank you, John Z. Do I like natural health better? I don't know what that means. Like I don't smoke, and obviously I don't drink, and I don't do drugs. I try to eat the Celtic salt and so I try to be healthy because I really don't want to be sick. I'm getting older, and so it becomes being smart. If I know I'm smoking in poison and it's going to hurt my body and it's going to make me, if it's going to change my looks and make me sick, why would I want to put cigarettes in my body? And same thing with alcohol. It's too much sugar. I mean, I can have a drink here and there, but I choose not to because I know the sugar is going to kill me. Even pop, I will not have a regular Coke. I might have Diet Coke, but very limited. But if you know something's bad for you, then why do it? Right. And so that I think is what my thought process is. Well, this isn't healthy for you. This will raise your blood pressure. This gives you diabetes. Why would you want to live like that? And then people go and they take the pills for it. Well, if I just don't eat it, I don't need the pills. Right. So I'm healthy because what I put in my body is Celtic salt and avocados and pita bread, which are very healthy, and a lot of veggies and a lot of meat. And if you eat that, you're fine. If you understand what to eat, you stay away from the canned goods, stay away from the high fructose corn syrup. Regular milk's not good for you. I have half and half. Caffeine's not good for you. So I tend to have caffeine-free coffee or that, even caffeine-free pop. If I do get a pop, it's a diet squirt with no caffeine in it. So I think if that's what you mean, I go to the pool every day because that's important. Gets the blood flowing and it's really healthy for you. So I think it's just the way I work. I'm put together. I analyze, right? And so I want the best outcome. So we do it in football, right? Well, Baltimore Pitt, let's go over 41. It's only 35. Aaron Rodgers, Lamar's playing. It should go over. So problem solving the games. That's why I pick so many, because I can problem solve most every game. And then you get into so when you problem solve health, it's the same when you problem solve money. I mean, it all is the same skill, just used differently. So when I problem solve this, I realized this is worthless. So that was the first thing when Biden did this $5 trillion expense package. I says, well, that's going to kill the currency. So I immediately problem solved that. Took me to here. I said, well, what do I do? Well, should I buy British pounds? Should I go and get 100,000 of these? And I said, no, because they're in the same situation. They've been printed to death. Also, they have retirees to pay Social Security. They have interest on their debt. They're all in the same boat, which led me to gold and silver because you can't print these. So this is where the value is. So the problem solving went, this is worthless. No, I can't go into other paper. Leads me to the only lifeboat, gold and silver, which is why I always use Titanic as the example. So it leads you to this because you can't print these. You can't inflate these because nobody understands what inflation is. Inflation is printing the money, not prices going up. So you can't print these. Therefore, it's limited. And once everybody starts realizing that the Titanic is sinking, they'll all run into gold and silver. And that's their out. And then we saw Brics doing it. And once I saw Brics buying gold and silver by the shitload, China 80,000 tons, Russia 20,000 tons. Once I saw that, then I go, well, there's the demand I need. It's a no-brainer. That's problem solved. Get out of dollars, get out of stocks, go into gold and silver. And now I'm here telling you what I problem solved about 6 years ago. And I'm telling you to buy it at 25, and I'm telling you to buy gold at 1800. And I'm screaming it and screaming it. And, some people listened, some didn't understand. And then as it started rising, they go, yeah, I guess he's right. And you'll see people come on here who I've been with for years saying, you were right. It's 4,000. You called it at 2,000, and here it goes. And it's just going to keep going. Of course, it's not overvalued because it's been suppressed. And as more people understand that the dollar is worthless, you only have one option: gold and silver. One option, metals, and that's it. So of course the demand will keep growing, and the dollar will be worthless. So you can either stay in a worthless dollar or get into something with value that's only going to go up. It is not overvalued. It's just going to keep going. Who'd be stupid enough to sell something this hot? Did Brics stop buying? No. Then why would you sell? You have the demand. The only thing is you're getting rid of COMEX and you're just going to go to physical, and then that price is going to go 10 times higher. So it's just pure profit. It's just pure problem solving. That's what I am. And I've done it because I learned how to pick football games when I was about 8 years old in the 60s. I'd be sitting there with my dad on a Sunday, and I started noticing things. Hey, the team in white always wins. Every Sunday and back, it was like the old AFL and the old Packers. And when they'd be in white at home, they'd win. I go, Dad, how come the team in white? So I'm already problem solving at 6, 7 years old, noticing things. And then I made a ton of football betting when I was a kid. In the 70s, I won the Immaculate Reception game. I had Pittsburgh -1. I don't know if I teased it. I think I just the spread, and I had Pitt, and I'm a loser, and then they score, and I won. I couldn't believe it. The Anthony Davis game, I had USC laying 7 to Notre Dame. I just had a knack for it, but it's all problem solving, but that leads to other things, and that's leading us to money and inflation and gold and silver and the football. And that's why I'm unique. Everybody else is trying to look at formulas. Oh, I'll use an algorithm. You can't. I had a conversation with Nick. He wanted to use an algorithm. I said, you can't do it because you don't know the variables. The variables change, right? Okay, they're playing for the 1 seed. Denver and New England and Jacksonville yesterday were playing for the 1 seed. Where's that go into your formula? It doesn't. But you can see it the way I problem solve the game. I'm going, oh, well, they need it for the 1 seed. And that's where you bet them. And that's where you lock. Well, my lock was what? LA and New England. New England was because they were playing Miami, and they're playing well, and they were at home, and they weren't going to lose. Miami can't handle the cold. And the Rams, I knew, wanted to play well anyway before Frisco lost. I already had locked the Rams. So we'll problem solve the college games, and we'll problem solve next week's playoff games. I don't understand the Monday night game. You can't do that. So Houston's playing Pittsburgh Monday night. You're fucking over whoever wins that game because they're going to play the following Saturday or Sunday. So you're going to put them on a short week so you can have a fucking Monday night playoff game? Are you kidding me? You can't do that because they're going to have an unfair advantage going into next week playing on, let's say, on a Sunday. They've already lost a day and a half because they're playing Monday night. I just question NFL has lost their minds. Whoever's in charge is an idiot. Thank you, John. Yeah, I think this is my favorite silver coin. I just like the maple leaf, and it's 2 ounces. I do have a few 5 and 10 ounce bars, and then I have a bunch of rounds like the Buffalo or the Eagle and maple leafs and Cougarans and Philharmonic. I like the Philharmonics too. They're very, very pretty coins, but you're buying it to get out of the dollar. So there shouldn't even be a question about the value. Is it going to go down? And anything like that, you really shouldn't even question it because your alternative is to stay in the dollar. And we know that's worthless. So that's really the key. All right. So let's look at yesterday. Oh, we got $77 silver. Goody, goody, goody. 44 gold sitting there, 44.45, but silver, here we go. Now this should go to 100. Mr. AI, oh, they're going to dump money into it. It's like, well, they might dump money into it, but China and Russia are going to buy when JP Morgan does options and why would they do shorts to lower the thing? It makes no sense because it's going up based on bricks, not down. All right. All right. So let's look at football yesterday. Fabulous day. So we've got Atlanta 1917. I called that one pretty good. New Orleans, pretty good team. Atlanta isn't. I don't know why Atlanta played. Falcons fire head coach Raheem Morris, GM Terry Fonda. What took them so long? The guys sucked. Why are you keeping them? And then he's not using Penix right, and they signed Kirk Cousins. I mean, these guys are idiots. We'll see what Atlanta gets, but I never liked that Raheem Morris with all the talent they had. Drake London, BJ and Robinson, and they couldn't win shit. Cleveland in the bullshit game of the day, 2018, and they fire their coach Stefanski. I don't think it's the coach. He had Prime Jr. and Gabriel, who was hurt, and you're giving him Deshaun Watson with all the salary cap, and you're going to blame the coach? Let's blame the GM. Should get fired. So Cleveland 2018, my only loser yesterday. Green Bay, Minnesota 16-3. I did call the under. I didn't play it. JJ McCarthy exits game with apparent throwing hand injury, which he already had. JJ McCarthy's he's missed at least half the games with injuries. This is pro football. You're going to get injured, boy. Aaron Rodgers is playing with a broken hand, as was Herbert. So, yeah, grow up, Herbert, or JJ McCarthy. He's terrible. The Giants 34-17. Didn't play the game. I liked it over 50, and it did come over. The Giants score. Cowboys defensive end ejected for ripping helmet off a Giants lineman. Why is he ejected? All right, here's our first lock. Jacksonville 41-7. I don't think this was a lock. I liked it because they were playing for the 1 seed, and they wanted to win the division over Houston. So I think what happened was Houston brought in the subs at halftime once they saw Jacksonville up 34-7. But Houston does get us the win 38-30 on the bullshit. Let's do the laterals, which has never worked in the NFL. The only one was the Motor City Musical and the kickoff return, and that was a bullshit forward lateral. But in this case, the lateral has never worked. And again, this is why I don't understand how stupid these coaches are. Well, I know it won't work, but let's run the play anyway. What are you, insane? Are you a fucking idiot? Only an idiot would run a play that has no chance of success. If you want to run a play like this, what you should do is about a 40-yard hook and lateral. So the guy's down the right sideline. No, he's in the right quarter of the field, like the hash mark. You throw it to him, and he'll be open, and then another guy comes for the hook and lateral, and then he maybe can score. I saw it in the Miami-San Diego playoff game of 81 when they were at like the midfield, and they threw it, and then West Chandler and somebody on Miami caught it, and then I think lateraled it to Tony Nathan, and he scored. San Diego was caught flat-footed. But that's kind of the only play that can work there. Otherwise, you're fucked. Don't invent a play that you think can work. You can't work with 5 linemen on the field. It can never work. So it's just amazing how stupid these coaches are. But we'll take the win. The Bills 35-8. Should have locked the game. I didn't, but Buffalo, as soon as I saw Josh Allen, he's going to play. The Jets were terrible. This is a Z team with the 36 defense. Buffalo's super strong at home. There was no way they were losing. The Lions 1916. This was a surprise game. Now, I had picked Chicago 41-20, so I had the 20 right for the Lions. Where were the Bears? I don't know, but they do cover. They were down 16-0, get both touchdowns and both 2-point conversions, and then lose on a field goal at the end of the game. But with the 2.5-point spread, we got Chicago plus 3.5. We were happy. Now, here's the problem with Chicago. Detroit, what's their weakness? The secondary sucks. They don't get pressure on the quarterback. And yet Chicago's running the ball. 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. And then finally in the fourth quarter, they start throwing the ball on Detroit's weakness, and they scored 2 touchdowns. And you're like, you should have started off throwing the ball, because Detroit has a bunch of third stringers in their secondary. Now, here's the problem I have with Detroit, besides the shitty coach and the weak GM, is where was this against both Pittsburgh and Minnesota? You lost to Brosmer, who threw for 7 yards, but then you beat a really good Bears teams. But the game you needed to win, you choked. Both Pittsburgh and the Rams and Pittsburgh, and then, but let's say Pittsburgh and Minnesota. 2 teams that you should be better than, and they both beat you. And they beat you blitzing you, and they beat you Minnesota beat you running and playing defense, and you turned the ball over 5 times. So you beat yourself in the Minnesota game. But here against Chicago, I don't get it. So you beat Chicago, big deal. So you end up 9-8, whippy. You missed the playoffs because you lost to Minnesota because you couldn't handle a blitz. Now, if you needed this game, would you have won it? You win the game because there's no pressure on you, right? You don't need it, so you go ahead and relax and you win. So whenever it's a big game, Jared Goff's going to choke, right? So he does good yesterday because there's no pressure. Against Pittsburgh, pressure, lose. Against Minnesota, pressure, lose. They couldn't handle a blitz, really. Now, they had their best offensive player out yesterday in Sewell. He's out. You had no problem protecting the quarterback. You had no problem running. I mean, so it shows you that Jared Goff, when the pressure's on, doesn't show up. And when there's no pressure on, he looks good. And that's the problem with the Lions. You got a guy who's a joke. And how long is it going to take? How long is it going to take you to realize that he's a joke? He's not good. And this is what I always, when I look at quarterbacks and I look at, should they take Dante Moore? He's not a good quarterback under pressure. I'm looking at it from a whole different level than most people are. How are they under pressure? Joe Montana was great. At the end of the game, they needed a touchdown to get you a touchdown, and that's at Notre Dame. I knew he was great right there. I never thought Steve Young. I thought he always collapsed under pressure, and I wasn't sure Troy Aikman was any good. Brady was good under pressure, but he never played at Michigan. It was a real strange case. So I'm telling you about Dagiopava. Under pressure, he's very good. He would have won the Minnesota game if he was on Detroit, but not golf. And so you're asking me, should Oakland take them and the Giants take this? All I can tell you is under pressure, yeah, Mendoza looks okay under pressure. We'll see. But I know Dagiopava is great under pressure. Do I know Sawyer Robertson? I think he's pretty good under pressure. We saw the A&M quarterback fold when he played a good quarterback. So I'm not buying Dante Moore's good under pressure because he didn't beat Texas Tech. It was their defense and all the turnovers by the Texas Tech quarterback. It's like Minnesota. Brosmer didn't beat the Lions. Golf had 6 turnovers that beat himself. So that's what I look at is the quarterback good under pressure? Because inevitably that's what you want. Oh, the Giants have Dart. He's their franchise quarterback. Bullshit. Tyler Shaw at New Orleans. Bullshit. These guys, you haven't seen them under pressure. Because when you get into the playoffs, you want to win it. And then you're going to go and start doing the bullshit. Lamar, why do I get on him? He's not good under pressure. Look at him last night. He had a good game. They didn't win. In the playoffs, he always loses. He'll fumble the ball. He'll throw interceptions. He can't handle the pressure. He's good in the regular season against Cleveland, but that's about it. And that's the point. And yet that's me thinking fifth dimensionally, and most of these guys don't understand that. So I'm not looking at, oh, look, Fields completed a pass, or Prime Junior. Oh, he completed. Prime Junior in college under pressure didn't show up most of the time. What they saying in Detroit, TK, bad year for them. Sam Darnold, well, how was he under pressure? He didn't show up. So he didn't really show up against the Niners. They had 2 or 3 drives inside the 10, and they scored 13 points. He couldn't handle a 4th down. He couldn't get out of a play. Sam Darnold is a choke. He's not good under pressure. Stafford is. So when you ask me what team you think will win the Super Bowl, I'm looking at who can handle the pressure. That's why I give you the Rams. Jalen Hurts stinks. They won because of Barkley and Jalen Carter, who are good under pressure. Love's not good. Caleb, oh my God, he was terrible yesterday. He had a guy wide open. He threw it 5 yards over his head. So that's why I say Caleb is not it. Prime Junior, none of them are good under pressure. It's a very rare gift. Brady was good under it. Manning wasn't, and Drew Brees was good under it, and Mahomes is great under it. That's why we always bet Mahomes as a dog. He's good under pressure. This year they kind of fucked the league up this year. And KC had this super hard schedule, 2 Denvers, 2 San Diegos. Oh, by the way, here's Philadelphia, Baltimore, Buffalo. What are you kidding me? Then they had Jacksonville, who's pretty good this year. Houston, who was really good this year. So CJ Stroud's another who's not good under pressure. None of the Ohio State guys are. None of the Alabama guys are. Because they don't develop. So, in Detroit, they'll blame the injuries. That's the biggest blame. Oh, the injuries to the offensive line, the injuries to the defense. Let's blame who you should blame, the coach and the GM. The GM does not draft well. I mean, anybody can draft, Gibbs with the 10th pick, or St. Thomas. I think he was a 3rd rounder. He just got lucky. All he does is run little, under the zone catches. I mean, that's all he does. So, it's, you don't have an offensive line. Why not? Why didn't you draft for an offensive line? Then they drafted defense. Why didn't you draft in secondary guys? Well, we did, and they got hurt. Well, this is football. Guess what? They're going to get hurt. But guess what? Teams like the Niners, who have much more injuries than you to keep players, they lost their quarterback and still, got into the playoffs. You didn't lose your quarterback or running back or wide receiver. You didn't lose Hutchinson this year. But you know what you lost? You lost your offensive coordinator, your defensive coordinator sucked, and your head coach sucks. Well, he's a good motivator. Yeah, he's a terrible play caller. He's a terrible coach on Sunday. He lost to Browsmer. He didn't get Golf out. Golf was having a bad day. 6 turnovers. Did the coach get him out? No. Now, I was watching just before, all you Raider fans, Steeler fans, I was watching the Immaculate Reception game. And in the game, we got Darryl LaMonica for the Raiders, right? 1972. And he just threw his 4th interception. Jack Ham got it. Who comes in the game? Ken Stabler. The coach, John Madden, smart enough to realize LaMonica sucks. Let's bring in Stabler, who's a winner, who handles pressure. Should have started the game. Comes in, gets that long touch, 30-yard touchdown. And we didn't even know he could run. Gets the 30-yard touchdown, and they were up. And then, the Franco Harris play. Well, look what Madden did. He took the quarterback out. Oh, he had Ken Stabler as the backup. Who's the Lions backup? Well, we got rid of whatchamacallit, of Hooker. We got rid of Hooker, so now we don't really have one. So when Goff throws 6 interceptions, we have no answer. That's the coach. That's the GM settling for mediocre. So when your guy has a bad day, you just lost you just lost to a third string high school quarterback in Browsmer from New Hampshire. He just beat you. They blitzed your ass and you couldn't figure it out. That's why he's a bad coach. We're going to go for field goals on 4th down. Instead of going for field goals to win the game against the Niners, we're going to go for it and not get it because the Niners have a really good defense. Joey Bosa on the time. That's why he's a bad coach. Fundamentally, yeah, okay, they run. It was more Ben Johnson running and more Ben Johnson's offense than Campbell. Campbell is a lousy field coach. He doesn't know how to time manage. He goes 4th down too many times. He doesn't understand what he's got, but he doesn't understand strength and weakness. We don't have an offensive line. I better not go for 4th down. And, what's my weaknesses, what's my strengths. So he doesn't get that at all. It's over his head. Oh, I got to go for 4th. No, you got to punt. You've got Caleb on the other side yesterday. You have Browsmer. You should have been punting a lot, getting field position and making Browsmer make mistakes. That's how you should have game planned Browsmer. Let's just run safe plays because we got Goff who chokes and run and that. And that would have been the difference. All right. Sam Darnold is not good under pressure. I don't buy him. You can't just be good under pressure. Either you're Joe Montana or you're not Joe Montana. So either you're good under, like Steve Young was not good under pressure. Montana was. John C. Who in the AFC is the best quarterback remaining? Well, let's go through that in a minute. Denver wins 19-3. I didn't play Denver, but I had Denver because I was a little scared of San Diego. Trey Lance shows you what he's made out of, 3 points. Oakland 14, Kansas City 12. Only Oakland would win, but I couldn't play KC because I had Odolan, and I don't know who he is. He's from South Dakota State, but I can't bet him. The Rams 37-20. This was my lock. The Rams -1 at the time because I'm 5 steps ahead. I bet it on Thursday. Going the Rams are going to play because, I'm reading the information. Well, they don't want to lose 3 in a row. They lost to Seattle. They lost to Atlanta. They were probably in shock because they got fucked by the refs with the, it's a backward pass. So therefore, we'll give them the 2 point. You can't give the 2 points. Anyway, the pass was clearly knocked down. It's incomplete. End of play. Forward or backward, it doesn't freaking matter. The intent of the play was it was a pass that was knocked down. That's it. So the Rams should have won. So you knew they didn't want to lose 3 in a row going in. And they were playing an Arizona team with the 34 defense and no Buda Baker. So they did exactly. They got 37 on the 34 defense. They gave up 20 to Arizona. It's exactly the way I thought the game would go. New England 38-10. That was the other half of the lock. So the lock was New England because I'm betting against Miami and I'm betting against Arizona with teams that need to win and want to win. So 38-10 New England. And Washington wins 24-17 with it was McKee from Stanford, who sucks. Why is he starting? Well, we don't want to get Jalen Hurts. Okay. So now the Bears are going to play Carolina, or no, they're playing Green Bay, and you get to play the Niners. Okay, good move there. They'll lose that game. And then Pitt gets the last one, 26-24. I got over 35. We get a 50-point game. Eagles blow chance to clinch number 2 seed, right? And that's going to haunt them. You can't just turn a switch. Pete Carroll fired by the Raiders. That's shocking. Who are they going to bring in? Some offensive guy? That's a stupid move. Jets end season without recording an interception. Well, who gives a fuck? Colts wide receiver, who cares? Cam Ward season ends with shoulder injury after scoring touchdown. Why doesn't he slide? That's what these quarterbacks don't get. They almost want to get hurt because they're making the money, and they're only there to make the money. So he injures his shoulder after scoring a touchdown. No, you score the touchdown, you need to slide. You can't get hurt. So this is a guy who doesn't want to play, so I would ignore Ward. JJ McCarthy exits game with apparent throwing injury. So the guy's always injured. I would just dump JJ McCarthy. Stefanski's fired. Morris is fired. Okay. Pete Carroll is gone. That's what it says. Right here. Pete Carroll fired by Raiders. That must have just happened. I don't know. This is the first time I'm seeing Yahoo, but yeah. So let me get this straight, if I may. Pete Carroll, one of the best coaches to ever coach. You fire him, why? Well, the Raiders went 3-14. Why'd you fire him? You gave him no offensive line and no defense. What did you think? Magic was going to, the fairies were going to come and sprinkle dust on the offensive line and get better? You put him in a situation he couldn't win, and then you fire him. And who are you going to hire? Ain't nobody out there better than Coach Pete. So you're going to bring in some. We'll laugh at whoever they hire, and they're not going to. They'll be lucky to go 3-14 next year. Who are you going to have? Okay, you got Geno Smith. Okay, you're going to get rid of him. Who wants him, right? So you're stuck with him again. Are you going to draft? Do you get the number 1 pick? Okay, we'll draft Mendoza. You think he's going to light it up, right? He shouldn't even be playing for a year, these guys. Do you think that's going to be the difference? Prophet, Raiders' plan was to tank the entire season so they could get the first draft pick. I don't agree with that. No, that's totally wrong. They didn't tank. Brock Bowers got hurt. Crosby got hurt. Geno Smith sucked. He was hurt. You had no offensive line, and you had no defense. You had a 29 defense. He didn't tank. He sucked. It's not like they didn't try. I mean, they won yesterday. They beat KC 14-12. So they didn't tank. If they were tanking, they would have lost that game. So that's what you have. All right. So again, I hit the Carolina-Tampa game under. I have over in the Niner game. Shocked that they both looked so bad. It was a pathetic game. I knew Darnold would choke. But I would have taken the Niners in 8.5 and lost. So there was nothing I could do in that game. I have Houston a winner, Jacksonville a winner, Cincinnati my loser, New England a winner, the Rams a winner, Denver, the Bears, the free play wins, Buffalo wins, the over in the pit game. Very easy board for me because it's like, oh, they need it. Who's the week? And you bet it early. You don't wait till the lines jump to 12-14. I had the Rams -7. Wasn't going to wait on the Rams. So 9-2, another average week for the professor. Now we get into playoffs. It's so hard watching these announcers. They're so stupid, including Brady, Collinsworth yesterday. Just very, very hard to all right, let's look at wild card week. So we start off, and I'm going to make my own line here. LA goes to Carolina in a rematch. Carolina beat them 31-28. Stafford had 2 picks. This is Saturday. And then Green Bay against the Bears in Chicago. Why is this game on Amazon? So nobody can watch this game. How many people who are football bettors who are going to interested in the game actually are going to watch it on Amazon? Now, keep in mind, the Chicago and Green Bay will get it on normal NBC or whatever it's on. So the people in Detroit, are we going to buy Amazon to watch this game? Never. We won't pay to watch. Why would we? Why is it on Amazon? The league has got their head way up their ass. Then we come to Sunday. We got Buffalo at Jacksonville in a very good game. My first inclination is this is an over. San Fran and Philadelphia. This is a dog game. San Diego and New England. I like New England here. And then Houston and Pitt for some reason on a Monday night. You've got to be kidding. All right, so we're going to make our own lines because we want to see how bad their lines are once they do it. I got the Rams -4 over Carolina. The Rams are a much better team. Green Bay goes to Chicago. I assume Love will play because he had the concussion, but he sat 2 weeks, so now he's ready. I'm going to go with the Bears -3, but it could be Green Bay -3. Buffalo and Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville should be a 3-point favorite, but I think Buffalo will be favored. The Niners and Philly. Philly will be 3. I like the dog. San Diego, New England. New England will be 3. I like New England and Houston, Pitt. Houston will be 3, or Pitt will be 3, and I like Houston. Kobe. Hello, Kobe. Welcome. Commenting this as I'm watching the live from the beginning. Nothing beats teasing football. My U-Wager account allows basketball and as well as baseball teasers. Basketball is so tricky and iffy. What's a baseball teaser? The threes and the BS fouling that gets called will have your teaser looking like a bad play when really you got beat off its and late ass threes. And, well, the problem also is the games are fixed, as we know. At football, you might get the pass interference call, which is bullshit, but they still got to score. And as we saw, Seattle 8 times inside the 10 and kicked a field goal. So, yeah, I agree. And again, in football, if the line's 7, okay, you can win. You just can't win by more than 7. They win by 6. So if you tease it down to 1, you're not worried about the fix. Basketball, I agree with you. It's totally fixed. It's the players are fixed, the load management. Let's say you make a bet, and then Will Chamberlain sits out for load management, or Michael Jordan sits out for load management. You're fucked. But the funny part is, Michael Jordan, Magic, Bird would never sit out. You'd have to put a gun to their head to make them load manage. Now these guys are a bunch of pussies. Oh, I need to get paid for doing nothing is basically what they're doing. Kobe, baseball, you just got to have a strong enough or decent enough bullpen to not lose by plus 4.5 runs, which they only allow me to go up on an underdog for. The favorites, you just go as far as plus 1.5. Sounds like a strange teaser. I mean, it should just be, I've never really seen much of a run line in baseball. It's more of a money line. You're betting pitcher A to win. The managers are so stupid. Well, gosh darn it, he pitched 95 pitches. We got to take him out. Why? Well, because you pitched 95. Why is 100 the magic number? And we see more injuries now than we've ever seen in our lives. How many games missed did Sandy Koufax and Bob Gibson miss? None. Mickey Lolis pitched on 2 days rest for the 1968 World Series. It's ridiculous. Jack Morris pitched 10 innings in Minnesota, beating, I think, Atlanta in the World Series. He pitched 10 innings. Do you imagine now? Oh, sorry, Jack, you pitched 95 pitches. We got to take you out. He wouldn't come out of the game. Oh no, he'd be the manager. You don't want to be his manager. What sports book has baseball teasers? Kobe, that's your question. You can probably Google it, Prophet. You can probably look at. You can probably just Google who does baseball teasers. All right. So those are my lines. Rams -4 over Carolina. Chicago 3 over Green Bay. Jacksonville 3 over Buffalo. Philly 3 over the Niners. New England 3 over San Diego. And Pitt 3 over Houston. Those are what the lines should be. The favorite in a playoff game, the home team should be favored unless like the LA Carolina, where Carolina is such a bad team. Carolina lost and got in. That's when you lose to get in, you're a choke. You can't bet on them, right? Hey, Derek, how are you? Can you believe how bad the Ravens blew that game? Yeah, I can. Now, I would say there's something fishy with the wind because both kickers, the ball went way right on them as if it was like a tornado blowing the ball from the right to the left, because even Pitt missing the extra point was like the ball just went boom. And so it was the same action there. Well, Baltimore got lucky on their 2 touchdowns. The Zay Flowers were broken coverages. And then the same thing with the Pitt touchdown was a broken coverage. So, I think it was about the way the game was played. Lamar didn't show up for most of it, which is nothing new. FanDuel lets you change baseball runs. Okay, yeah, I don't do FanDuel, but all right. I am really disappointed with Lamar. Why are you disappointed with Lamar at this point? Haven't you been disappointed with him for the last 8 years? You're just realizing he's not good or what? But in big games, he doesn't show up. Never beat KC, had struggled with Buffalo, struggled in playoff games. He'd always choke. So I'm not disappointed. He should be a wide receiver. I'll tell you this. If Harbaugh had a brain in his head, he'd have started Huntley, and you play Lamar at a wide receiver, and they would have won the game. They would have won the game with Huntley. But Harbaugh isn't smart enough to do that. Kobe, now BAC to football, or back to football. The books have been adjusting the regular place lines to fuck with our teasing. Not really. I've noticed this year, Professor, a lot of underdog games who had the teaser right in flopped so bad. That's why I bet early. I bet the Rams at 7, and I noticed it went to 14. Now, that might be what you're talking about. They moved the line 7 points. But if you know what you're doing, as we do, I don't wait to bet. I'm betting Wednesdays and Thursdays. I just gave you the lines, right? The Rams 4 over Carolina. Now, we'll see what the real line is, but I'm setting the table. Philly 3 over the Niners, New England 3 over San Diego, Pitt 3 over Houston. I can make the bets right now. Right? Let's see what the real line is. I can bet right now. I know who I want to take because I've already studied the teams and I know pretty much what's going to happen, pretty much. And so I'm not going to wait till game time to make my bet. I'm going to bet it now. And what I think Vegas does is waits and sees who the money's on, and then they fix the game. Well, I'm betting it now, so they can't really fix me. And if they do, let's say I take Houston and 9 against Pittsburgh. They can't fuck me with that because the line I know is the money's going on Houston, and they can't really fuck me. Now, Pitt does get DK Metcalf back, and they got TJ Watt back, and they got Aaron Rodgers. They might win because CJ Stroud's so bad, but we will see. But I don't know. I can tell you where the line. We'll take a look at the real line, and I'll tell you where it's going to end up. Okay, I can do that. Strong crosswinds at Pitt Stadium. Well, I obviously very strong, but I mean they were real strong. The extra point was like going and then just went sideways. Kobe, you wager it's in the props market profit. Derek, I'm starting to think that Lamar will never be championship quarterback. You're just starting to get that now. You haven't been listening to me because I told you that 5 years ago. He was never a quarterback. He should have been playing receiver like a Hines Ward or Anton Randall Hill. That's what I've been saying. He's a slot receiver. He's not a quarterback. He can't read. He can't throw or he's shot put. He's not very good. He's not my quarterback. Kobe, you get up to 4.5 on dogs. Totals can go as high as 11.5 and as low as 5.5. Well, I would take 11.5 in a teaser in baseball. That's for sure. Favorites only go as low as 1.5. That doesn't seem right. If they're a run favorite, you only get 2.5 point teaser. I wouldn't take a teaser if that's all I get. Do you think the New England LA game will be low scoring? The New England and the LA game? LA, no, I think that'll be very high scoring. New England, San Diego, no, I don't think that'll be low scoring either. You have to understand the teams. LA scores. Carolina is a scoring team. And New England's a very high scoring team. So that's why I do last 5. So when I look at last 5, without taking into consideration yesterday, if we look at it, the Rams are a over team with the 29 defense, which means they score and the defense isn't that good. Carolina, where are they? Carolina's an under team with the 23. That tells me the Rams will win the game because they score a lot. Carolina has difficulty scoring. The only reason they won the first game is Stafford threw all these interceptions. He's not going to do that now. He'll know better, and they're not going to be tired flying to Carolina. They'll be focused because now it's a playoff game. Before they had won a few big games, and then it was after a big win, I think. I think the first Seattle win. Under 40 points. No, that's a joke. That's a lock. Go over 34. Rams are. I'll look at the line. The Chargers are in LA now. No, they're still San Diego. The greedy owners moved the franchise. Yeah, I'm aware of that. But if I said LA, would you know who I'm talking about? If I say San Diego and Oakland, do you know who I'm talking about? So that's why I say it. I don't want to say LA, and then you have to guess, am I talking Rams or Chargers? But if I say San Diego, we know. And I like them. The Raiders are always Oakland. They're not Las Vegas. I mean, we have several Raider fans in our class, and we all call them Oakland. So understand they move. That doesn't matter to me. They're still San Diego and Oakland. Well, we'll look at the lines. So anyway, if I look at that, and the other games, New England, San Diego, New England is an A team with the 21 defense, means New England scores a lot. And San Diego is a B team with the 17. So they're a pretty decent defense, but not all that. So that's my lines. Now that's what I think the lines should be, what my lines would be. Now we'll see how bad Vegas is. So we've got the Rams minus 10. That's a joke. And 46.5. So this goes to an over 46.5. And I would bet it before it goes to 49, 50. That's where it's headed. As far as LA minus 10, that line's going to come down probably to 8. They're on the road. You can't make them, now everybody looks at first blush. Carolina lost to Tampa. So therefore, if they lost, LA is going to win. The 10's too high. My goal would be to hopefully get an 8. And as soon as I get an 8, I take the Rams -2. But I'm not, at this point, the line has to go down. It's too high. We got Chicago is -1 and 46. Again, 46. This makes this an over game as the Bears are pretty high score. Chicago -1. Green Bay dominated them the other day. I think this is a take the dog game. If we can get a 2, we'll take Green Bay an 8. Although Love's a choke, coach is a choke, and they don't have Micah Parsons. But they did dominate. Chicago's problem is they want to play this bend but not break defense, and they're on the field the whole game. And then at the end, Caleb starts throwing, and they start the dipsy-do, and then it's different, and they change defenses. So if the Bears do win, yeah, maybe +5, but I think I'll take Green Bay in 7. I'll try to get a 7.5 and over 46. Again, this is just superficial right now. We've got Buffalo -1.5. That's a mistake. And 51.5. This is definitely an over. I like Jacksonville as the dog here. Jacksonville is a very good team, very strong defense. The problem is Trevor Lawrence sucks. Buffalo with Josh Allen, they are not a good road favorite. If this game was Buffalo, this would be a lock Buffalo, and Buffalo would be favored by 7. Here, Jacksonville should be the favorite. This is why I pencil in my spread first. Jacksonville should be a 3-point favorite. Realistically, that's the proper line. Buffalo to be favored makes no sense. So Jacksonville will play them tough. They beat KC at home when KC was playing. So I like Jacksonville as a home dog. Home teams win a lot in the playoffs. Keep that in mind. Philadelphia -3 and 46. I got a problem with Jalen Hurts. He makes Lamar look like a good quarterback. Barkley, the Niners, this is going to be an over game. So far, I got 4 games, 4 over games. Philly, really their defense. Jalen Carter's been hurt. Their defense isn't as strong. Look at the game yesterday. The Niners have been averaging 30 points a game. I don't know what happened against Seattle, but the Niners will score. I think they're a live dog in the game, provided the injuries. They need the receiver back. I don't like Purcell from Florida. No, that's not where you get receivers. 46 over 40. And then here's where you put in the score. Well, what score do we think will be? Well, I think the Niners will get in the 20s, which means Philly will probably be in the 20s. I think you're looking at 24-21. That's a 45. We only need 40. And it could be a little higher than that. So I think you either take the Niners as the dog or you take the over. I don't touch Philly with Hurts. Let's see. New England -3, as we said, and 46. You got 5 games. You got 4 totals of 46. What the fuck's up with that? New England, San Diego. I like New England here all the way. They're a much better team, much better. I do not like Harbaugh. He wants to play Illinois or Iowa here. He doesn't want to play San Diego or New England. New England, better team at home. Travel, it is an 8:00 game. All right. And then we got Houston Pitt. We have Houston -3. That's a bad line. 39.5. That's kind of a low number. Yeah, Houston with a good defense. The problem is CJ Stroud's not good. CJ Stroud cannot go on the road. And basically, if you want Pitt, you get 9. You're going to get DK Metcalf back. You got TJ Watt back. You got Aaron Rodgers. Houston, yes, great defense. Baltimore had a good defense too. They shredded it. But CJ Stroud cannot go on the road and win by 9 points. Are you kidding me? No. He barely beat Well, he couldn't. He barely beat Oakland. He barely won the game yesterday. It was a fluke, or they only won by 2 over Riley Leonard. And that game was at Houston. No. Houston is not a road favorite. I don't think Denver's a road favorite. I think the only road favorite here you got is maybe the Rams. Let's see who's next. Who's the 2? Denver and Seattle. I don't think you have a road favorite. They're not road favorites. So the best team in this mess is New England, and the Rams are the best 2 teams playing next week. Now, the Rams will go down to an 8-point favorite. The total will probably go up to 48. Green Bay might be favored, and the total will go up to 48. I don't know if they'll make Jacksonville favored, but they should be. And the total of 51 probably is about right. Philly and the Niners, that'll probably stay at 3 and probably go to 48. New England, San Diego, New England 346. This could go to 4 or 5. And total of 46 is about right. It might come down to 44. And Houston Pitt, yeah, there's too much negative about Aaron Rodgers. So I see this line staying the same. I don't see it going up over 3. I think it just stays at 3. 39.5, depending on the weather, it might go to 37 or could go to like 40. But you saw Aaron Rodgers at his best at the end of the game when they needed it. Touchdown. Very strong. I like the run. I like Warren. This game, Pitt's the better team in this game. Houston's the better defense, but they got C.J. Stroud, and I got Aaron Rodgers. And that's the bottom line. That's what you're looking for. All right, so that's a very quick synopsis of that. The Rams should win. The Bears, Green Bay, either way. Buffalo, Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville wins. Philly, Frisco. It's going to be a tight game. New England beats San Diego, and I think Pitt beats Houston. I do not smell what Houston's cooking. Too bad a play by C.J. Stroud against Pittsburgh. T.J. Watt's going to eat him up. All right. Let's take a look at the college bowl games. We only have 2. Seems like we should have more. Where's my college? There's my college. All right. So we got 2 games. Miami at Ole Miss. Let's break it down. So we've got Miami minus 3.5, 51.5. The line hasn't moved in a week. And we got Indiana 46.5. That's gone down from 47.5. How do we analyze these games? Well, let's look at the quarterback. They're trying to make Trinitran Chambliss into a good quarterback. Is he a good quarterback? Don't think so. He's okay. He runs a lot. You're running into Miami. So what's the best unit on the field? Miami's defense. First thing. So Chambliss isn't going to do his little dipsy doos and all that because that Reuben guy's going to be in his face the whole game. You pressure them. That's why I did not understand Georgia not pressuring them. Really unbelievable. Because if anybody knows, that's what Georgia does is pressure. That's how they won their 2 championships a couple of years ago. Miami 3.5, 51.5. This is an under game all the way. Miami's defense will dominate. Offensively, Miami's going to run the ball and try to eat the clock and keep the ball away from Ole Miss's offense. But Ole Miss hasn't seen a defense like this. You bet the defense in this situation. And this total of 51.5, way too high. 57.5 under. No. It's not going to be close to that. Next game, Oregon, Indy. Indy 4, 46.5. This is all Indy. Better offense, better defense. I already beat them at Oregon. And when you get down to it, it's Mendoza. Goes against whatchamacallit, their quarterback. Their quarterback stinks. If you need the quarterback to win the game, Mendoza will win the game as he did against Penn State. This guy's nothing, this Oregon quarterback. Did he do anything against Texas Tech? I don't think so. I don't know. I have to rewatch the game, but I think it was a lot of turnovers. I don't think he lit them up. Total of 46.5. Possibly an under. Let's give Indiana credit. They beat the hell out of Ella fucking Bama, right? Who has a decent defense, probably similar to Oregon's. Well, let's see. Oregon's defense is a 16. Alabama's is a 21. Okay. Indiana's got a 10 defense. This is now a 9. And Oregon's is a 16, which is probably a 14. And Miami's got a 12 defense, which is still 12. And Ole Miss is a 25 defense, which is now a 27 defense. So let's look for other ways to figure the game out. So Miami just beat Ohio State, which is no easy thing, and they beat them 24-14. So they were able to move the ball and score. Here comes Ole Miss, gave up 34 to Georgia. So Miami will win this game with their defense. Ohio State only got 14. They have a better offense than Ole Miss. So I don't know what people are thinking Ole Miss is going to do. And they're trying to talk Chambliss into some superstar, which he's not. He's a runner. He's like Jackson Dart. That's the type of quarterback Lane Kiffin likes as the running quarterback. But we see how good Lamar is in playoffs. Yeah, he doesn't show up, does he? At the end of the day, when he has to throw, because he'll get into the red zone, what you going to do? That's why you need a quarterback and not a running quarterback. The running quarterback, when they get to the 15-yard line, what do? You got the end zone. There's no room to throw it. You can't run it. You got 8 guys in the zone waiting for you. So you've got to be able to throw, and they can't throw. That's the problem with running quarterbacks. As we see, Lamar, both those touchdowns were long passes where the defense fell down, and he had them wide open. Oh, well, he's a great quarterback then. So when they got in the red zone, Lamar didn't show up. So that's the key there. So Chambliss, I don't think they can beat Miami. I think Indiana, Miami will be the final. Oregon, again, I think you could go under. For Indy to dominate Alabama was a surprise, but Alabama, Nick Saban runs the Steeler defense. DeBoer doesn't. He's not a real defensive coach. He's more of an offensive coach. But 38-3. I wouldn't want to fuck with Indiana. So I think we got Indiana, Miami going into the finals, and then you just bet it under. You just look at the strongest suit, and it's Miami's defense. It's a 12 defense now. Texas Tech, I was surprised. Well, the quarterback choked, right? He had a lot of turnovers, but not their defense. So I'll rewatch that game. But I think it's Miami and Indiana into the finals. But I think I think the total is too high in the Miami game. I think you go under. And then Oregon, Indy, I think you just take Indy to win. I don't think they're going to lose. I don't think Oregon's that good. They didn't beat anybody. The one team they played, Indiana, they lost 30-20. They played at Iowa. They won a close one, 19-15. And that's it. Okay, now you just beat Miami. You just beat Texas Tech 24-0. in a good game, but I think they have a good defense. So I think this Oregon Indy could be an under also, or I think Indy wins. But I have no desire to bet Oregon here, and I have no desire to bet Ole Miss against this Miami defense. I mean, they killed A&M, and now they just killed Ohio. They beat Ohio State. The A&M game was 10-3. So the good quarterback Reed on A&M gets 3 points, and then the good the good Ohio State receivers get 14. This defense is for real, and you've got to respect defense. Defense is the best way to bet, and that's the key. So they have really Indy's got the best defense at a 9, and then Miami at a 12. So they're not going to move. Mississippi's the quarterback's not going to run. If they're smart, they just apply pressure and blitz, and the guy won't do anything in the game. That's all you do to these running quarterbacks, just blitz them. There's a game Miami played Baltimore several years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, in Miami. Miami blitzed every play, and Miami shut out Lamar like 17-0 because he didn't know what to do with it. He just got blitzed, and he couldn't run, and he just didn't know where to throw it. So that's how you handle a blitzing team. So I was talking about the Lions earlier and their troubles, and it's just curious. They have a chance to beat Browsmer in Minnesota, and they lose the game. And then you want me to believe because they beat the Bears in a meaningless game that now they're good, now they're better, they got grit, they got this, they got that. No, they got big problems there. Big problems. They've drafted too much offense and no defense, and they can't handle the injuries because they're paying Goff $50 million a year in a salary cap league. That means you can't get any backups. And by the way, it's football. And by the way, there's injuries. So you can't do that. Yeah, I don't like the word greedy. They made a business decision. They're not greedy. They're just stupid, the owners. But, yeah, I mean, they're free to do what they want, but I'm still going to call them San Diego. Don't you think Ben Johnson will just run the ball down Green Bay's throat? He's not going to let Caleb screw this up. Well, I do think that, but their defense is playing this prevent defense. If you watched the game 2 weeks ago, when they did beat Green Bay on the miracle onside kick, Green Bay was just lighting them up. They were just going down and boom, boom, boom. And basically, Chicago didn't do anything. They did keep them out of the end zone, but it was long drives and that. So, yeah, he will run it. But look at yesterday. He tried running on the Lions, and he, was 3-0 first 4 or 5 series. Finally, in the fourth quarter, they woke up. But I just think Green Bay will keep it close. I don't know who the better team is. I think these teams are even. I think this is the tease the dog game. Would it have surprised you if Green Bay was the 2 seed and Chicago the 5 seed? No, it wouldn't. They're pretty even. I don't know if Chicago is pretty good, but again, they beat Philadelphia as the feather in the cap. And they beat Green Bay on a miracle. Otherwise, like losing to the Lions yesterday, the Bears played to win and struggled with the Lions defense. They weren't smart enough to throw the ball against the weak defense. You didn't understand the art of war. Go to the weakness. The weakness was Green Bay or Detroit secondary sucks and no pressure on the quarterback. And he didn't do that. And if you notice, Hutchinson's not doing anything. He's just kind of, he doesn't put any pressure on. He doesn't run all over the place. He tends to get there late to make it look like he was in on the play. Right? So I think it's a dog play. Now, if you made the Bears a dog, I'd take the Bears. But I don't think the Bears have a home field advantage here. They play each other twice a year, just like the Lions. They played the Bears twice a year. So I don't buy that there's a big advantage in this game, and I'm not sure who the better team is. I can tell you the better team on the Rams are definitely the better team. and New England's definitely the better team. Outside of that, take the dogs. Green Bay, Chicago's even. Buffalo, Jacksonville's even. Philly, Frisco's even. And Houston, Pitt is even. Yes, I love the Houston defense, but then they got C.J. Stroud. And they don't really have a running attack, and they don't really have receivers. They don't. Nothing on their offense scares me. Where Pittsburgh, you got Aaron Rodgers. He'll keep you in the game. I know Houston puts pressure on it. I mean, but they'll, between Gainwell and the other, and they get DK Metcalf back, I think they'll figure out some ways to not get totally crushed by the Houston defense, which I do like. I normally bet Houston under. They're usually a very good under. Although yesterday I laid 4. If I played the under, I would have lost. So that's what we have. We'll keep an eye on it, but that's why I make my lines. The Rams should be 4 and they're 10. That's a bad line. That's a line, assuming everybody's going to bet the Rams. You'll get Carolina bettors. I don't know why. I would never touch Carolina in the game, but we'll wait. We'll let the algorithms come in. We'll let the game go down to 8, and then we'll bet the Rams -2. But otherwise, it's basically tease the dog in most of these. But I do think New England will beat San Diego. I don't like Jim Harbaugh. All right, so that's football. These coaches being fired. Okay, how do you hire the new coach? They keep hiring like offensive coordinators to be the coach. No, you got to hire a coach to be a coach. I can't believe Oakland let Coach Pete go. I think that was extremely stupid. And we're going to allow their last coach was that defensive Aaron Pierce, the defensive tackle from the Giants. Who the hell are you going to replace Coach Pete with? Are you kidding me? That's a stupid decision. And that's the Raiders' problem. Whoever they draft is going to be a bad pick. If they draft Mendoza, they don't have the offensive line. If they draft a defensive tackle from Texas Tech or Miami, is Crosby going to play? And you need 3 or 4 defensive players. You need offensive line. You're in trouble in Oakland. Mendoza is probably the worst pick you could make because you're just going to get him killed. You have no offensive line. That's all I hear from Oakland guys this year. Their offensive line stinks. Their offensive line stinks. Okay, fine. The offensive line stinks. So what do you need to draft? Offensive linemen, right? No, we're going to draft a quarterback who won't be protected. So it's just really stupid. So I want a guy who's a winner, who's smart, analytical, and does not use algorithms. That would be my coach. If I'm hiring a coach and he says, well, we go for it on 4th down, I'd say, not interested. I want a smart coach because you got to punt the ball and pin them back at the 5, and we're going to play defense. So we're going to first build defense, and then we're going to play to the defense. And that's who wins, not look at Mahomes. They didn't win. And Mahomes, they couldn't win. It's about the team. So you need good defense first, and then obviously an offensive line. But it shouldn't be hard to get an offensive line. Go in the 4th round, take a guy from Michigan or Ohio State who's a starter, or Nebraska or USC, and there's your line. You don't need 1st-round picks to get a good offensive line. You need a good offensive line coach, which they probably don't have, but they shouldn't be as bad as they are. These are pros. They shouldn't be like terrible offensive line. Denver is going to lose in their first game because their quarterback is so bad. I don't buy that, Derek. I don't have a problem with Bo Nix. I don't think he's bad at all when I look at the other ones. So I don't buy that. Denver has, first of all, they got Sean Payton. And secondly, they got a very strong defense. So I don't think Denver at home is going to lose their 1st-round playoff. It depends who they play, but they'll probably get the lowest seed. So they're going to get probably the Houston Pitt winner. So they can win that game. But, Bo Nix is not the problem. He's very good. My book has the Rams at -10 right now. That's the 5th spam phone call I'm getting. Your book has the Rams. Well, that's what the spread is, -10. That's Yahoo's spread, but that's the real spread. All those spreads I gave you mine first, but the 10 and the 1 and Chicago -1, those are the real lines right now. Problem with the game and the refs, too many penalties that are ridiculous, that are called at the wrong time. 3rd and 25, the guy touches the guy and it's pass interference. Then what's up with the announcers? Yeah, you can see he did tug it, but he shouldn't be calling it on 3rd and 20 when the pass didn't even go to him. And what are the refs looking at? You're looking at this guy. Yeah, I don't think so. Most of the holdings are bullshit. I think you just let it go. Let them play. All right, the guy grabbed them. Okay, fine. But then there's times when you don't call the interference or the holding when they're being grabbed. So you're not consistent in your grabs. You're doing it for TV because the team's losing and you want to make the game close. That's obvious. The coaches all have their heads up their ass, except for like Sean Payton, like I said, maybe Sean McVay. Look at the Frisco coach. He fucked up royally in that game. He had his head way up his ass. Shanahan. I don't like Shanahan at all. Most of the coaches are idiots. They don't have like a philosophy. In other words, let's play field position. Let's play defense first. If we stop them, and then we'll try to score. But everybody wants to go with the dipsy doodle, and we're going to run triple reverses. And it was a game yesterday. I can't remember what it was. It was the Carolina game in the rain, mind you, and the game's close, and you just need a field goal, I think, to tie it or win it. It was late, and they do the throwback to the quarterback, the flea flicker. Let's run a flea flicker in the rain. Yeah, that was a great call. And the running back slips, and then he throws it back to the quarterback, and he throws it bad, and it was a fumble. I think they recovered it, but it's like, dude, just keep running the ball. Why would you run a flea flicker in the rain? Do you understand it's raining out and the ball is wet? This is what you're dealing with these coaches. They're so fucking stupid. It's really unbelievable that they're coaches. And they run the same plays. Let's run that triple wide receivers to one side, and it'll be a wide receiver screen. And every defense in the league knows that's what's coming, and they pick it off or they drill the receiver. It's the stupidest play. Why do you think it'll work when everybody knows what the play is based on the alignment? They just run a lot of stupid plays at the wrong time. They don't play ball control. They don't play box them, pin them deep, make them go 90 yards, for a touchdown. They don't understand any of the concepts. All it is analytics. Well, it's 4th and 2. I got to go for it. Or we need a 2-point conversion, even though we'll never get it. And it's becoming that. And the coaches are just stupidity. It's just really stupidity. All right. Enough football. Let's see what's going on in our gold and silver world. You can certainly ask questions if you have any. That's what we're doing. That's the point of this. We hit 77 in silver, and we're still 44.41 in gold. So gold's up 109. Silver's up $3.65. What's good is it's after the 10 o'clock drop. So it's 12.49, and gold's 44.41. Silver had hit 77 and change. So silver went up to 77.80. I don't know what this is. There's a blank. Oh no, there is the line. So it went down. And this is always funny because nobody's selling, right? So it goes from 77.80 down to 76.40. It goes down about $2 on an option. Like, what the fuck is that? Right? This is the problem. It's a phony market. But we are up 3.5, 76.28. So it's a good sign. We know it's paper. We know it's bullshit. But that's how we get paid. If we go to the gold store today, he's going to look at COMEX and pay us and charge us. We know this price is nowhere near reality. So it's just a buy. The more you can buy now, the better you're going to be off. You could have bought earlier, but now we're here. We're at today. Now, what do? You can buy. You won't want to sell today unless it's an emergency. You're not selling anything because you got to get back into dollars. So in this situation, you're going to buy because it's cheap, right? $76 silver is cheap, right? It's $1,000 silver in your head. You can get it for 77, 76. You go buy. Gold, very cheap, 44, 40, whatever, very cheap. Again, you can buy. It'll go up. Both of these will go up because this is worthless. So because this is worthless, your only alternative is gold and silver. So the demand will be there. As long as you have high demand, the price will go up. That's just how it works, right? If I want something, if I want ribs and the price went up $1, well, I'll still probably buy them. If it goes up $5, I won't. But you're looking at things and you're going, yeah, I'm going to buy it. But then here's the trick. These guys in Europe, the Euro people, will realize this is worthless and will start buying gold also, which of course will raise the demand. Lest we forget, all the BRICS countries are buying gold hand over fist. China, India, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, Brazil, Hong Kong, Singapore, all those people are buying. There's not a lot of gold to start with. There's not a lot of silver, and it can't be printed. They can't just print a bunch of gold and silver. They got to find it out of the ground, and they can't. So you have all that going. God, leave me alone already. So once you understand that, you can't. So this is a big thing here. I keep getting these potential spams on calls and texts, and what it does is it interferes with your brain thought. There's a good video I want to show you. It's one, I believe, on stupidity. So real quick, there's one on Putin. Putin agreed to let Trump. I was talking to Alyssa, and we invaded Venezuela, and I said to her, well, Trump had to have permission of Putin. Putin had to give him permission for him to go because Russia owns oil and gold and silver in Venezuela, as does China. So the only way that Trump did it was he was allowed to by Putin. So let's watch a couple minutes of this.
I was making so much money with DoorDash. I wanted to earn money in my free time, but I didn't want to go out and get it boring now.
Beyond sphere of influence, the bombs falling on Caracas weren't just American missiles. They were the sound of a secret deal between two men who pretend to hate each other. And while the world watches Trump and Putin play enemies on television, I've been watching them quietly divide the globe like medieval kings carving up territory. Putin's silence on Venezuela reveals everything. This isn't weakness, it's collaboration. And what Trump gave him in return will shock you. You think this is about American strength versus Russian resistance? You're watching theater. The real deal was made in private, and both sides are getting exactly what they want. Let me tell you what really happened when American forces captured Nicolas Maduro. The most important reaction wasn't from Caracas, Washington, or European capitals. It was from Moscow, and that reaction was silence, complete, calculated, deafening silence. Vladimir Putin, the man who has positioned himself as the defender of sovereignty against American imperialism, said absolutely nothing when the United States conducted the most brazen violation of sovereignty in modern history. That silence tells us everything we need to know about the real relationship between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. This isn't the clash of titans that cable news wants you to believe. This is two strong men who have quietly agreed to carve up the world between them, just like their predecessors did throughout history. Putin's response to the Venezuela operation reveals the most important geopolitical realignment of our time. For years, Russia positioned itself as the protector of small nations against American aggression. Moscow supported Syria, intervened in Libya, and constantly denounced American violations of sovereignty. But when American special forces literally kidnapped the head of state of one of Russia's closest allies, Putin said nothing. This wasn't strategic restraint. This was a man honoring an agreement. Russia had significant military advisors in Venezuela, sophisticated air defense systems, and mutual defense commitments with the Maduro government. Instead, Russian forces quietly withdrew from Venezuelan positions in the weeks before the American operation, almost as if they knew it was coming. American intelligence clearly had months of preparation and quite possibly Russian cooperation in providing information about Venezuelan operations. Here's where the deal becomes obvious. While Venezuela was being destroyed, American support for Ukraine began subtly but significantly shifting. Not the public rhetoric, that remained supportive for domestic political consumption, but the actual weapons deliveries, intelligence sharing, and financial support began experiencing delays and quiet restrictions. The most telling indicator is what didn't happen. Ukraine requested permission to use American long-range missiles against targets deep inside Russia. Previous American policy had gradually escalated support for such operations, but suddenly those requests encountered endless delays. Ukrainian advances found themselves operating with reduced real-time.
I think we get the gist of it. So basically, Putin and Trump are working together. I would trust Putin much more than Trump. Trump's not too intelligent. He just plays the game, but I stopped 7 wars, and okay. And this was just a typical war. We were there to steal your gold and your oil. That's why we're in the silver. That's what they're there for. So it's not a war. It's just mafia, basically. Kobe, do I see a lot of wild card games going over? I think I mentioned that. Yeah, I think most of them will go over. You got to look at the quarterback and the defenses. The only defensive game I would think would be Houston-Pittsburgh because of the defense. Maybe New England, San Diego. But I think Frisco and definitely Buffalo, Jacksonville, Green Bay, Chicago, and the Ram game all go over. Absolutely. I don't get into keep the fans watching. Fuck the fans. It's can the players do anything? And I think the Rams will light them up, but I think they just play for the play. They're not worried about the fans or TV or any of that crap. Kobe, I'll adjust and start from Wednesday, Thursday instead of Saturday night, Sunday morning. I don't understand. Oh, making your picks. Yeah. Why? Well, why are you waiting? Why would you wait? Like, if you know what you're going to pick, and which you should figure it out and go, this is who I'm going to pick. And if you can figure it out, then why wait? Unless you like the Ram game, I think will come down. That one I would wait, but I already know I'm going to take the Rams. I don't need, there's no studying. The Rams are the better team with Stafford. Carolina couldn't beat Tampa Bay to get in. And the game will be just the fact that it's in Carolina is meaningless, and Stafford will shred them. So I'm just waiting. That I'm hoping the line goes down to 8 and I can go under 2. That's it. Otherwise, I'm interested where the Bears Green Bay game goes. I want the dog in the game, so I want more than 7. But I think the line will go to Green Bay. I don't think money's going to go on Chicago. And, so that's what you're looking at. Buffalo, I think the line will stay where it's at. It's at 1.5. It might go to 2, but it's just understanding what the public's going to bet, which I do. And that's where the line's going. That's why I bet it early. But you should bet it as soon as you know what you want. But then you have to be smart enough to analyze what's the public going to do. Right? They're going to be on about who's more popular, Buffalo, the Rams. That's where it's going to go. So that's what you kind of want to look at. All right, this one is on the end of critical thinking. As we problem solve, as I just explained, problem solving lets me understand gold and silver and economics, money, inflation, and picking the football games. That's all, buying gold and silver. That's all problem solving. That's all critical thinking. Well, if the money's no good, what do I go into? That's the problem. The solution, gold and silver. So you have to be able to critically think. Most people are not taught that anymore. They ignore it. They just want to get, I'll go on Twitter and get like, or YouTube. I just want to go for likes. So I'm just going to say what's going to give me a lot of likes without any thought, without any problem solving. What's popular? That's what I'm going to do. That's what this video is going to show us. So let's watch this.
Is your healthy eating routine getting boring? Factor has got more than 100 weekly options for you now. I've tried with
Truly passive.
This is a very good video.
Imagine a world where we have access to more information than at any other time in human history. Yet somehow we are becoming less capable of thinking critically, reasoning deeply, or distinguishing truth from illusion. Think about that for a moment. Never before have we been so connected, and yet so intellectually disconnected from reality. Today we're going to uncover a disturbing paradox. How, in the age of infinite knowledge, we are creating the dumbest generation in history. And I promise you, the last revelation of this video is the most shocking of all, because it exposes the root cause behind this silent intellectual collapse that few dare to talk about. But before we dive in, make sure you subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share this video with those who still believe that intelligence automatically grows with technology. I assure you, what you'll discover today might change the way you see modern education, social media, and even your own habits of thought. Let's begin. For centuries, knowledge was something sacred. Ancient philosophers like Socrates and Confucius believed wisdom came not from knowing everything, but from recognizing how little one truly knows. The mind was a temple, and learning was a lifelong ritual of humility and self-examination. But in our age of digital abundance, information is no longer a treasure. It's a flood, a never-ending stream of content that drowns reflection and rewards distraction. Psychologists call this the illusion of competence. We scroll through facts, videos, and sound bites, and mistake this rapid exposure for understanding. We feel informed, yet our thoughts are shallow, our attention fractured, and our ability to think independently slowly decays. As neuroscientist Daniel Levitin explains, the modern world has made us addicted to input, but allergic to reflection. Ask yourself, when was the last time you sat with a single idea for more than a few minutes, without checking your phone, or switching tabs, or feeling that anxious pull to move on to something else? That inability to focus is not accidental. It's engineered. Social platforms are designed to hijack your dopamine system, rewarding you for shallow engagement and punishing you for stillness. In the past, intellectual growth required patience, discipline, and solitude. Today, we reward speed over depth, noise over silence, and reaction over reasoning. The consequence? A generation that confuses being informed with being wise. Philosopher Neil Postman warned us of this decades ago in Amusing Ourselves to Death, when he said that we risk becoming a people who love their oppression and adore the technologies that undo their capacities to think. What's terrifying is that we've accepted this intellectual decline as normal. We mock seriousness, idolize influencers over thinkers, and celebrate short bursts of content as education. The average attention span of a human being has dropped below that of a goldfish, not because we are less capable, but because we are being conditioned to be distracted. In a study from the University of California, Researchers found that constant multitasking rewires the brain, making deep thought more difficult. The more we jump between notifications, messages, and media, the more our neural pathways adapt to expect interruption. In other words, the very way we think is being reshaped by the technology we depend on. And here lies the painful irony. We think we're evolving, regressing. Critical thinking, creativity, and empathy are being replaced by algorithmic predictability. Education systems, instead of countering this trend, often amplify it, teaching students to memorize rather than to question, to repeat rather than to reason. So I ask you, are we really becoming smarter, or simply more efficient at being controlled? Because intelligence isn't about how much information we can consume, it's about how we process, integrate, and apply it. True intelligence transforms knowledge into wisdom, and wisdom cannot survive in a culture addicted to distraction. In the next part, we will go deeper into how modern systems, education, media, and even our economy are actively manufacturing intellectual weakness. You'll see how the very structure of our society rewards ignorance and punishes depth. And by the end, you'll understand why the final revelation may be the most alarming truth of all. The modern education system was once designed to enlighten minds, to cultivate curiosity, and to prepare individuals for a life of thoughtful contribution. But somewhere along the way, it transformed into a machine, one that values conformity over creativity, memorization over understanding, and obedience over critical thought. Think about the...
So, this is what I've been saying for a while. We're able to critically think here. We're trying to analyze what's going on with gold and silver and COMEX and BRICS and gold-backed currency and all that. We can analyze it and we can think, and then we can profit from it. Hey, let's go buy gold and silver because the demand is there, the supply is low. We're able to problem solve. But that whole thing is going out the window. They don't want problem solvers. They want people that just are yes men. Yes, I'll do this. Okay. Don't ask why, just do it. I just need you to do it. And I think that's why I can't get a job, because I think somewhere on my resume or whatever, it says critical thinker. And thinking it's a good thing, but realizing it probably isn't, because most of the people in management are just idiots, and they're probably thinking, well, he's going to take my job, so I don't want to hire him. But that's how we figure out the football games. We ask why. How did Cleveland beat Cincinnati? Well, there was a pick six at the 3-yard line. There was a fumble at midfield, and my field goal, my kicker missed 3 extra points, which I've never seen in life before. And it was McPherson, the kicker. Like, you couldn't believe, did he actually miss him on purpose? I mean, that's how could they lose that game? It was amazing with Prime Jr., right? It's just like how the Lions lost to Brosmer. This is a guy who threw for 7 yards in the game, and you fell right into the trap by not critically thinking. They're blitzing me. Just run screen. Don't get hurt. Don't throw the picks. Don't try to do my game. Play to Brosmer. So let's just run it and punt and let him make the mistakes. No, the coach can't think like that. So this is what we're critically thinking: is the quarterback clutch or a choke? Is the coach clutch or a choke? Are these lines? What are the real lines? That's why I do the lines first. This is what the line should be, and then we get this crap, and then we take advantage of it. But that's how you beat the system. You get your money out of the banking system, because they don't want you to critically think. You've always kept your money in the bank. Why? Because it's safer. Who knows? If you had $100,000, you didn't. What are you going to do with it? You can't leave it around, so you put it in the bank. But you really don't want to put it in the bank. You want to buy stocks with it, because you want to turn it into 200,000, so you don't have to work. Well, why is work so bad? Because most people make bad choices and do jobs that they don't like, and so for them, they don't want to work. They want their freedom, which is what everybody wants. So the quickest way to freedom is gold and silver. We understand that. So that's what critical thinking is. You're asking why. That's why we asked, did we go to the moon? 9/11 was a gold robbery, because it made sense. All of a sudden, the Israelis got all the gold. They stole it. There was Brinks trucks there. The demolition of the building was pure demolition the way they did Stardust. It was not an airplane running into it. I mean, if you believe that story, you're an idiot. Yeah, the plane ran into it. The only problem is that the plane fuel cannot get hot enough to melt steel. Oh, by the way, but that's what they said. So you can't, you're just supposed to go along with it. You're not supposed to critically think it going, well, that's impossible. It can't be high enough. And even if it did, it wouldn't collapse the building. It might collapse the floor. But we heard demolitions go off, the people in the building, and it went boom, 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 straight down, which you would have done. So it's not critical. It's just going, what do I think really happened? And so you get that and everything, and you learn you can't trust the government. If you do, you're an idiot. You're an idiot if you give up your critical thinking and you just go with what's said, right? Oh, Johnny said this, so it must be true. No, it doesn't. It doesn't make sense. I'm playing poker. A guy checks, and then he makes a bet on the river because a 7 hit. Does that make any sense? I mean, did he hit trip 7? You know, so your thinking doesn't make sense. Like I told you, I gave you the poker tip. If this is the biggest poker tell I can tell you, it's 100% accurate. If your head's up, or maybe 3, and it goes check to you, and the river's been exposed. First guy checks, second guy checks, or just first guy. If your head's up and you make a bet, if either of those guys come over the top, they're bluffing 100% of the time. Because if they had a hand, they would have bet. Because if you have, let's say, 4 9s in a hand, and it comes to the river, in your first act, you tell me you're not going to bet it? Well, I'm going to check and see if somebody else bets, and then I'll come over the top. You would never do that. You would get your bet in on the river if your first act 100% of the time. So it tells you if it's a check and then you bet. So this happened to me at Caesars. Check. I bet 40. I had pocket queens or queens. I bet 40. The guy then raised me to 100, and I had my money in before he had his money in. I didn't question it. And I showed him my queens, and he just folded. He just, because it didn't make sense. It didn't. If you are critically thinking in poker, does that make sense? It doesn't, because we're all greedy, kind of, but not that greedy's bad. We just want more. And because that's what life is, right? You need more, you need to work. Unless you get more and more money, that's not greed. So he's greedy. He wouldn't check to me on the river with a good hand because he doesn't know if I'm going to bet. And, it's not like I was betting every street. I might have been betting a little, but nothing enough to check raise me. So getting the check, and then I bet, and then he raises me made no sense. That was the easiest call I ever had in my life, because I knew if he had anything, he'd have bet it. He wouldn't have checked it. So that is your 100% poker tell. And anybody, because nobody will check. You got a full house. You're on the river, your first act. You're not checking. Nobody in their right mind is checking that hand. Never, ever, ever. Unless you know the guy that you're playing with is going to bluff you. And, but, if I'm betting a little, then he knows I'm, you're probably not going to bluff me. And that happened last week when I played New Year's Eve. I had pocket jacks and 15. I'm playing 1-3, 15 pre-flop. I get 4 callers, 9-8, 4 hits. I bet 25. A caller, everybody folds. So I'm heads up. Nothing on the turn. I bet 25. He calls. And then the river comes, and again, nothing. So there's nothing. There's no ace or king that hit. I got jacks. And I just checked the river, and he checked. And he shows a pair of 8s. And I show the jacks. He says, well, if I would have made it 100, would you have folded? I says, no, it wouldn't have made sense. Because it's not like an ace hit. Even if an ace hit and you would have tried to bluff me that you had an ace, I wouldn't have believed you. Because I can't see you calling 15, 25, 25 with with an ace 10 or something. And now, oh, I wait till the river and the ace finally hit and I got you. Nobody in their right mind plays poker like that, right? So knowing that, you know that that's not gonna happen. So that's kind of what that's what critical thinking is. You ask yourself, does this make sense? And that is the question, right? Does something make sense? Your girlfriend does something regularly, then all of a sudden doesn't. And she gives you some bullshit excuse. Does it make sense? Because you know the way people act and react, and it gets down to a pattern. So I think it's when the pattern breaks is when it doesn't make sense. If it's a girl, is she cheating? Well, she normally comes home right after work every day for 6 months. And now she's not coming back, and then she gives me a bullshit excuse. Oh, okay, something's going on. Give me the excuse. And if she won't tell you, then you tell her to fuck off. It's as simple as that. If she doesn't trust you and respect you, you don't want to be with her in the first place. So you're looking for patterns and you're looking for probabilities of outcomes. And that's what football betting is. And that's what Brics is. And that's what gold and silver is. You keep putting the money to death. It's not worth anything. So that's the first part. And then you go problem solve. What do I get into? Gold and silver. I bet football. You see the team. How strong is the quarterback? The defense. The good coach. They're playing this other team. It should probability. This team should win. And that's all you're doing. And that's why I pick so many games, because you look at almost every game, you can get that probability of this guy's good and bad. And I have the ability to spot a good quarterback and a bad one and what I'm looking for and can they handle pressure or not. So that's kind of the whole thing. So I go down the list. I can pick all 6 playoff games and the 2 college games. I can give you 8 picks and I'll probably win 6 of them, which is why I give a lot of picks when I do my Teaser King, is because I know if I give 10 picks, I'm going to win 7. This week I went 9-2. I picked 11 games. I had 9 winners and 2 losers. And the one loser was Cincinnati, which you can't figure out. I even hit the over in the fucking Baltimore-Pittsburgh game without DK Metcalf. Had no reason to go over. I thought I lost it for sure. And not only did they cover, if I went under in the game, I would have lost because it was 41. It would have been under 47. And they ended up getting 50. It's amazing. So, yeah, I was lucky, but I wasn't. I kind of felt that game would go over. So that's what you're trying to do, is you're trying to assimilate the outcome that you think will happen in gold and economics, in football, in stocks, and anything you're doing. Women, weight. If I eat sugar, I'm probably going to get sick, so I shouldn't eat it. So it's we go to the Titanic. It hit the iceberg. The boat's going to sink. We need a lifeboat. And everything should come off of that. Football, women, poker, gold, silver, anything like that. It's something happens, and then every action, there's a reaction, let's say. So if you're playing poker, you're looking for consistency, probability, what you think should happen. Women, the same thing. She smiles at me. I guess I can ask her out. She doesn't look at me. I probably don't want to ask her. You say hi, and then you look for the reaction. Oh, she says hi back. She's smiling, or she just ignores me. Okay, the girls that ignore you, you just ignore her, and then the girl that smiles at you, you ask her out if you want to. And that's really but that's what life is. You're thinking, you're critically thinking. What do I do here? And then you can problem solve, and that's really what it is. So anyway, that's what I do. So to answer Kobe's question about overs, well, it just becomes what I think the probability will be. Now, we have to check weather first. Is it going to be real windy and raining? Then I don't expect any overs. If it's a calm day, I do. So we've got Chicago, could be cold and windy. Jacksonville, probably okay. Philly could be cold and windy. New England, Pittsburgh, all could be very cold. Chicago, the 2 games, Carolina and Jacksonville, should be warm. Now, do we get rain and wind? And so that is another factor we must look into, playing totals. Look at the rain in Tampa Bay last week, and they didn't score. I think it was windy in Frisco, and they didn't score, but I thought that was just bad coaching. But there's many variables, and you try to gather as much information so you can make the proper call, and that's what I do. That's how I pick so well, and I've been doing this. I started betting in like 1970. I know I had the USC Notre Dame game was 73, the Anthony Davis game, the Steeler games, the Immaculate Reception was 72. So I know I've been betting since like 1969. Teasers came into play in 1977. And the way I problem solve and critically think, I could figure out what to do with them. And then I slowly, like I say, it was like 1984, and Eric Dickerson was playing, and they were going to, the Rams were going to New England. And I took the Rams, and New England won like 24-20. And I had the Rams -1, and I asked myself, why did I lose? Why did I take the Rams and not New England? And that's where I developed the live dogs, road dogs, home favorites, and stuff like that. Had I characterized it and categorized it, would have been a New England bet. But I bet the wrong team without understanding kind of that. So once I developed that, once I lost and asked why, it's okay to lose. Just ask, why did I lose? And I can't answer the Cincinnati-Cleveland game. Just there's nothing you can do about it. But I did hit the Bear game and the Steeler game and all the others yesterday. So, yeah, they go, okay, I do know what I'm talking about. It's just the one game was a fluke, and you're going to get flukes. You're going to get pocket aces, and the guy's going to get a set of 7s on you, and it's just part of the thing. You certainly can't fold your aces. It's funny, though, I do fold them when I get check raise. So, again, if I got aces and I bet 25, I get a caller. Then the flop comes, and I continue ace and bet it, like, I don't know, 25, 30 bucks, depending on the players and everything. And the guy checks me, and then I bet, and then he raises me. I fold him automatically. He's either hit 2 pair or a set, and I'm in big trouble because he knows I got a good hand. I'm making it 25 pre-flop, and then he checks, and I bet again. He knows I've got a good hand. He's looking at me, analyzing me, going, yeah, he must have a good hand. If I raise him, he'll call me, and I'm too smart for that. As soon as you check raise me, I fold. And I'd say 99% of the time, you've hit the set or the 2 pair, probably the set. Once in a while, you're you don't have the set, but I can't imagine you're bluffing me because you don't think I'll fold, right? So again, that's critical thinking and what happens and why. So that's what you're kind of doing, but it works for everything. Poker, women, well, you just remain calm, you listen, and if it doesn't sound consistent, if things are not consistent, the first thing you do is ask why. Well, where were you? What happened? And then you either accept it or you don't, and it depends, and you go from there. Like Daria, I didn't hear from her from her every day, and then boom. And I was up at the cottage with my friend, my girlfriend. We went up to the cottage in Russia, right? And they didn't have good internet there. Now, do I believe they didn't have good internet? Maybe. It's up in the country. It's Russia. I just said, as long as you're okay. And again, she's in Russia, I'm here. So did I accept it? I thought something was going on, but I kind of left it alone, like, okay, fine. And then I found out what was really going on, and I was okay with it. It's like, you can tell me that. So anyway, that's what you're looking for, is consistency to pick the games. You understand economics. So when the dollar gets printed, you then know where the lifeboat is, gold and silver. And it's everything like that. That's basically what I do. And it follows to everything. You're looking for consistency. And once you find that, then you should be able to predict things or predict behavior. And that's what we're trying to do in football, gold, economics, things like that. So any other questions? Mr. Behold, Peace King teaser. Not sure if anyone asked, but how do you feel the news out of Venezuela affect the metal market? I don't think it affected it at all. The metal market is COMEX is paper, and they're all going broke because they don't have anything. So, okay, what basically happened? Russia and China moved their gold and silver from Venezuela back to Russia and China. The U.S. took a little. Well, what would that have to do with the price? The gold and silver was there. It's not like you found new gold and silver. Is it a war? Well, I just showed you that Putin was okay with it. Like right now, if it wasn't, Russia would be invading the U.S. over Venezuela. But Trump got Putin's permission to do it. So nothing's really coming. It's not, I mean, you already have the war in the Ukraine, which is over basically. The war with the Middle East, and now Turkey's joining the game, I hear. So it's about stealing. The U.S. is broke and wants to steal gold, silver, and oil from these countries that have it. Iran, Ukraine, Venezuela. I mean, that's all they're doing is we're broke. We can't tax people because most people are retired, and we got to keep printing money, and we don't have it. So basically, the U.S. is broke, and that's what you got to read out of it. As far as metals, is silver up $3 today because of that? No, silver's up $3 because there's a shortage of it, and all these shorts, and people have to cover it on the COMEX. So this is going to happen regardless if they did something there or not. But I don't see it affecting the supply or demand of gold or silver. So therefore, why would it affect the price? So I don't buy that. I think it's just the U.S. going bankrupt, basically. And that just shows you what we know. We know the dollar is worthless because you printed it, and Brics says we don't want the dollar. So if you read everything, does it make sense? Yes, it makes sense the U.S. is broke. Oh, by the way, we have a $39 trillion debt, which you can't get rid of. It's gone. You got to pay it off or you're fucked. Just like you're a restaurant and you buy your food, and if you don't pay your vendors, guess what? They're not going to keep delivering. You're broke. You're out of business. And that's what's happening to the U.S. You can't ignore a $39 trillion debt. And, well, we just won't pay it off. No, it doesn't work like that. You own a mortgage and you don't pay your house, what happens? You lose the house. So the government, nobody will ever buy from the U.S. again, and we need their goods and services. So you basically have fucked everybody over with this debt. But if you refuse to pay it, you're dead, and nobody wants your crypto. Russia's like, we're not going to take stable coin or Bitcoin to pay for our debt. I mean, you own countries. You own Russia, China, India, Germany, France. These are your people who have been buying your treasuries, not us, not just the little people. So we don't have $10 trillion to buy treasuries. So they're all cashing them in. That's what's happening. So we're bankrupt because the first law, if you print too much, it loses its value, and that's what's happened. So basically, the dollar's lost its value. Yeah, you can go to Kroger's and still buy a steak and tuna fish and stuff like that, which you can do, but does that mean the dollar has value? No, because now you got to pay more for the tuna fish and steaks because the grocery store wants to stay in business. They can't just charge you $100 for a steak. Nobody will buy them. So they got to find a price that pays it. But again, if I'm Kroger's, I might still take dollars, but immediately every Friday I'm going to the gold store and saying, give me, I got $50,000, change it into gold until they don't have any gold left. And that's really what's happening. The Brics are pulling everything off the market and putting it in their banks and going, nope, we're not exporting silver. Silver is out. All these companies need it. So, yeah, I think that's the main focus of it. It's the inflation of the dollar that's really creating gold and silver to go to the moon. And that's not, there's nothing you can do to save that except backing it by gold, which you won't do because you don't have any gold. And if you had gold, now's the time to say it. So I think this Venezuela thing was just about the U.S. trying to steal oil, gold, and silver because we're broke. I think that's all it is. Putin's in on it, Xi's in on it. So it's what do we want with Venezuela? What's that gonna be? The 51st state? Well, I thought we tried that with Canada. Venezuela doesn't want to be controlled by us, nor why should we even be there? This is what I don't like about the U.S. We should not be in other countries putting in their leaders. No, every country's their own. Choose your leader, and that's your leader. And hopefully choose a good one. But you can't, why don't we'll run the world. We'll put in our leaders, which is basically what we've been trying to do, is put our leaders in all the countries and then steal all the gold and silver. Like we did in Africa, we stole all the gold and oil and things like that. When we killed Gaddafi, we stole all the gold. And that was the point of killing Gaddafi, was to steal his gold. What we did with it, I don't know, but we don't have it. We sold it or whatever. I mean, we're too stupid here. Anyway, let's take our last look at gold and silver. Boom, 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 boom. All right, so we end silver almost up $4, 76.68. Gold 44.40. Gold will be 45 soon, and all the way up to 5,000. And silver, I thought it would have hit 85 by now. If they didn't do those bullshit margin calls, we were at 82. We would have been at 100 by now. So it's going to 100. I don't know if it's going to quickly jump and you're going to wake up and it'll be 120 or what. We know it's higher in Japan, according to Mr. Fuji, the AI guy. So I'm not quite sure, but that's how I view it. It's much, much higher than what it is. So I highly recommend you can go buy it for $76. Go buy as much as you can. Gold 44.40 is very cheap. I would buy, if you can't afford it, maybe buy a quarter ounce for 1,100, 1/10 of an ounce. Just the point is to own gold, because gold's going to the moon, and whatever you can get, if you can't buy ounces, you buy quarter ounces. I've done that. I've got a lot of ounces, and I got not a lot of half ounces, but I got a lot of quarters and a lot of tenths, and they all add up. So as the price goes up, you're making money, and that's the key. So with that, I bid you a fond farewell. Again, 9-2 pro football this week. I was 3 and I was 3-1. No, I was 3-1 in the college playoff, so not bad. And then we got this playoff. College, I believe, is Thursday. I don't even know anymore. I knew who I want. I think it'll be Miami and Indiana, and then I'm not sure. Indiana might win it all. They seem to have the best. I don't like Carson Beck that much. Oregon, I do not like their quarterback. And then Mississippi has no defense. Teams without defense isn't winning. So that's the thing. So anyway, good luck to you, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. So www.teaserking.com. Hope you learn. At least learn, be critical thinkers. Think about things. Do things make sense? Is it consistent? Poker, football, gold, is it consistent? And understand COMEX is paper. Everything else is physical, and we want physical. We don't care about gold, paper. All right. Have a good day, everybody. Take care. Thank you very much.